Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Where's my Sunday paper? I said, where's my Sunday paper? The irate lady customer called the newspaper office, and she loudly demanded to know where her Sunday paper was. Ma'am, said the newspaper employee, today is Saturday. The Sunday paper is not delivered until tomorrow on Sunday. There was a long pause on the other end of the phone, and the lady muttered, well, dadgummit, that's why no one was at church today. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Good morning, I'm Zeb Bell on a Wednesday, December 11th already, and I'm going to break down and try to get my Christmas shopping started today. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of traction tires during the winter. And, of course, don't forget some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and some of our great friends like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them, 734-6969. Well, dang it, where's my Sunday paper?
It's Saturday, sir, and Sunday papers are not delivered until Sunday.
Oh, thank you very much.
You are very welcome.
That's explained why nobody's in the studio this morning.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
How are you?
I am doing well. It is chilly outside, but, a lot warmer than it was on Monday morning.
Let me take a look here real quick and see what I've got here at my place. And let's see, I got to get my weather forecast shot up here. And it says nothing. 16. No, it's not 16. It's 6.
It's 4 degrees here.
Oh, my.
At the studio.
Okay.
4 degrees, yes.
Are we coming through okay? Because it's a little fuzzy in my headset. So.
No, I think it's just probably the operator.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, too, lady.
Am I going to get a lump of coal now?
I doubt seriously if it's going to be that much, but okay. Do we have someone with the pledge?
Well, it either can be you or me.
I think you do such a wonderful job, and I want to give you an opportunity to really stand up and be proud. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You do a wonderful job. And speaking of wonderful jobs, is our dear friend Michael Rogers available?
He is.
Good.
Father Mom,
Good.
Single digits in Wichita, Idaho. Good morning, everybody. Let's get you to the good news, because you already know what the news is for today. So let's get you to the good news. The bottom line is that it's been cold for over 8 days, working its way toward 10. When's it going to warm up? And you see a high of 43 on Sunday. That's the good news. The other good news, by the time we hit December 21st, which is officially the first day of winter, we start to gain daylight. So that's a positive. So what's our weather for today? It's going to be cold. You're going to see temperatures in the 30s, low 30s. Going to stay that way all day. If you go outside and kind of try to think for a second, I just wish it would warm up to 36. It's not happening. But it will warm up by the weekend. 43 for the high on Sunday. Other than that, sun and clouds all the way through. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you got.
There's the best weatherman in the world, MichaelRogersWeather.com. God bless you, Michael. Thank you so much. Oh, we've got a lot of things to talk about here on the program this morning. And first and foremost, we're going to tell you about Valleywide Home and Ranch. We're going to be over there tomorrow for their great big Cowboy Christmas remote. Don't miss that tomorrow morning. Please come on by 910 South Oneida in Rupert and check out all the winter clothing. Check out everything for your livestock. Check out all your feed needs. Check out all your horse and tack needs. Check out everything. We're going to have registration for the drawing of men's and women's clothing. We're going to have free cinnamon rolls the first hour from Sophie's Chatterbox. Oh my, it's going to be ripping good fun tomorrow. Don't miss that. From 8 to 11, the Valleywide Home and Ranch Cowboy Christmas remote with yours truly. And we'll certainly look forward to that. And we'll see you at Valleywide tomorrow. And super sale prices too. Oh, by the way, I want to mention to you that I just mentioned the name Sophie's Cinnamon Rolls. They're big as footballs. They're huge. Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. And you better order your Christmas treats right now. Get your order in by December 23rd so you can have your great eating on Wednesday and then, of course, on Christmas. Don't forget, any type of pie imaginable with homemade crust, homemade rolls, loaves of bread, cookies, cinnamon rolls. Oh, yeah. Great food all day long from 6 in the morning till 6 p.m. at night on weekdays at Sophie's Chatterbox in Rupert. Really good, folks. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Before we start our subject matter this morning, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, is this, who is this?
Abby.
No, it couldn't be Abby because you sound so grown up. How are you today?
Dad, guess what I did last night?
What did you do?
I played a violin solo in front of people at the King's Fine Arts Center.
Oh my goodness. Sometime in the near future, can we make arrangements for time to have you play a little bit on the radio for us?
Yes.
I tell you what, if you can, when you're off on Christmas break, if you could possibly call us and make arrangements with Gina to let me know, and I'll certainly listen, and everybody will, to a beautiful violin solo right here on the air. How's that?
Yeah.
All right, you let me know, and we'll get you on the air. Now, Merry Christmas to you and your family, and I'll look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, God bless you. Oh, there is the world's biggest sweetheart right there. Thank you, Abby. Boy, violin solo. Whoa. The only thing I could ever play was the radio. God bless her. That's great. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Zeb. Hey, yesterday on that budgetary deal that was made, I don't know how that could ever happen because getting off on my computer last night, Mandela's funeral was going to cost the taxpayers something like pretty close to $100 million. That's according to the Washington Post.
Mm-hmm.
And his upcoming Hawaiian vacation will exceed $20 million.
Oh, easy.
That's according to the Hawaiian Reporter.
Oh, I think they're being more than lenient on those figures. I anticipate that the Hawaiian vacation, with the security and the vehicles that are flown over and everything else, I think you're not even close at $20 million. I think you're going to be looking at possibly $75 to $100 million on that venture.
Yeah, they said excess of $20 million for his Hawaiian vacation and pushing $100 million for this Mandela thing.
Did you ever notice, though, Tony, when they write these articles, and especially with the liberal bent-type newspapers and also the liberal-type television and radio stations, they say could be in excess of. In other words, it might be $10, but in reality, it's going to be about $10 million.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how they can ever get a budget thing going with this guy. I think he needs to spend some time in a mental institution to get reevaluated.
Oh, I tell you what, I'm going to be talking about that here in just a minute. So thank you for your call. God bless you and have a Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you and Deanne.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Nice people right there, Tony and Mary. God bless them. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They're open at 7:30 in the morning till 5:30 at night, Monday through Friday, and they've got the heat lamps. Now, just because it's going to warm, underline that word, warm up a little bit doesn't mean it's going to still not be doggone cold out there. And if you need heat lamps or extension cords or furnace filters to make sure your furnace is running right, they've got everything you need right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and that's where they always provide warm winters and cool summers. You be sure and stop over and say hello to those good folks today. Caller, I'm going to be right with you. Please don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Pro Paint at 1116 Overland Avenue in Burley. Best paint, best stains, best advice, and they've got gift certificates to you to give away during the Christmas season. So stop into Pro Paint today. They wish you a Merry Christmas. Also, Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 100 South of Burley, locally owned and operated, quality seated, competitive prices, wishing you a Merry Christmas. Butte Irrigation at 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul, and their new one at 22342 Kimberly Road, just a little bit north of Kimberly, right there on Kimberly Road. And they say congratulations to all the farmers for having a great year. Merry Christmas. And last but not least, Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert with all your carpet needs. And these are wonderful people in Rupert. Magic Valley Carpet wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Zebra. How are you?
I am fantabulous. What can I do for you?
Well, George was supposed to call in and thank all the sponsors that are helping us with the canned food drive for Zeb's Christmas Fund.
Yes.
And he went to work this morning, so you're stuck with me.
No, that's all right. And quickly, let's remind everybody, Donna, that we have, on behalf of Zeb at the Ranch and the Rupert POW, we have boxes at various locations for canned food, and we filled some of them up to the brim, and others we need to get filled. And we have locations at Ramsey Heating and Electric, Les Schwab and Rupert, Paul, and Burley, City of Rupert offices, Valley-Wide Home and Ranch over in Rupert, Kings in Rupert, and Alaska's Best in Rupert. Is that right, Donna?
Yes, sir.
And some of the boxes have been overflowing already.
Yeah, we picked some up. George picked some up yesterday, and we do have, some. A couple of them were filled overflowing. We just need to remind people this is going to go to both missions, the Rupert mission and the one in Burley.
Yes.
It's the outreach and then Oasis. And those people need all the help they can get. They supply food and shelter for homeless people. And they need all the donations they can give them.
Absolutely. It's when you're shopping, folks, and I said this the other day, and it's really the truth. Deanne and I do it. When you're shopping, let's say you get 4 cans of soup, just get 5 and donate 1. Or get 4 cans of beans, bacon and beans, get an extra one. And then deposit those in those boxes to help somebody else.
You betcha. Like I said, every little bit helps. We do the same thing.
All right.
I want to take just a second to thank you and your lovely wife. You guys do so much for the community, and it's been a pleasure for the last I don't know how many years to be part of your Christmas program, and we usually do families, with kids. This year we decided to do something different. We couldn't do it without you and Deanne. And I just want to say that it's a blessing for George and I to be part of your lives and have you in our lives and be part of the program.
Well, Donna, back at you. I mean that very much. We couldn't do anything without community help. And you and George, you're always extending a hand of helping other people. So thank you. God bless you. And I appreciate your calling in. And just between you and me, you tell the big guy you did a pretty darn good job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I love talking to you. I like making you sweat, wondering what's going to come out of my mouth.
I admit.
If I remember to put my filter in.
There you go. Yeah, really. Thank you. God bless you. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
Merry Christmas to you guys. Thanks,
all right.
Deb.
Thanks much. Wonderful people. It takes people like George and Donna and so many others to just get involved in the community and help other people. I'm going to talk about Obama's approval ratings in just a moment, and I want to forewarn you. I want to forewarn you, what I'm about to say will absolutely make some people very upset, make them very mad. But the caveat is, be sure and listen to all of my remarks before you form your opinion, please. Don't forget Mad River Laser at 700 South Oneida and Rupert. They're going to be moving at the beginning of the new year. They've got a brand new location on the square in Rupert, and oh my goodness, am I high on these folks. Absolutely one of the greatest businesses. They've got all the custom pens. Now's the time to get your company pens for promotional products, hand-stamped spoons for your Christmas tree, and Dad can get a custom engraved buck knife. Oh, they've got those buck knives. Those are really nice. And all kinds of things that you can have engraved. They make up all the T-shirts, the caps, everything. Mad River Laser. Excellent people, nice people. Wishing you a Merry Christmas at 700 South Oneida in Rupert. Okay, let's get right to this, if you don't mind, because this needs to be said. Obama's approval ratings are going into the basement, and this is where I want you to pay attention. I hope they get worse and worse and worse. I hope that his approval ratings go down into the 20 percentile range. I hope that Obama proves to be a total failure. I hope that he proves to be the worst leader ever of America. I hope that he absolutely does the worst job as president as anyone ever in the history of America. Now, there are those of you that are saying, why, how dare you? You're wishing him ill will. You're wishing the country ill will. No, I am not. And this is where I want you to really listen and define what I'm saying. We, as a country, right now, we have to hit rock bottom. And with the stupid liberal left-wing ideologies that Obama and his administration are trying to put forth, this country has got to hit rock bottom in order to wake up and smell the coffee and trash the socialistic movement and then set goals to make ourselves the country we once were. We haven't hit rock bottom yet. We haven't had people crying and squealing for, oh my goodness, what happened to the good old days? We're not there yet, but we're awfully close. Obama's approval rating is now at 37%. And the shocking statistic that came out this morning is that with independent voters, he is down to 30%. I want to say that again. With independent voters, he's down to 30%, and that category of voters, very important for any politician. He's down to 30%. And yesterday, Dr. Ben Carson said it the best, and very short and succinct. He said America needs to bring back free enterprise and competition to all of our society. Let me say that again. America needs to bring back free enterprise and competition to all of our society. No more free passes, no more gimme, gimme, gimme. You have to work for your success. Now, when I said I want to see this president fail, I meant every word of it. When I said that I want to see his ideology fail, I meant every word of it. Because I don't think that we're down in the basement yet. We're close. And until we reach that basement, like I said a moment ago, America will not look at its whole card and say, you know what? We've been on the wrong path. We have destroyed the moral fabric and the work ethic in this great country that made us great. And now, at that juncture, when we say that finally, we're going to climb out of the basement and become again the greatest country in the world. That's why, and I mean this, Democrats, I want you to fail. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Obama, with his losing in popularity points, and I've got so many stories to talk about with him this morning that are just absolutely sickening. He's actually like a rat in a corner. And I thought about this last night when I was watching him and some of his past speeches and everything. And what I'm afraid of, and all of us should be afraid of, is that this man is going to go into panic mode. He's going to go into a supersized panic mode because he's not getting what he wanted done. The left that supported him is not getting what they wanted done in this country, to turn us into a socialistic nation. And I'm afraid he's going to go into panic mode and advance his pathetic agenda in very scary ways. Do you realize that only 34%, and it's sinking every day, of Americans approve of Obamacare, and they want it left alone, they want it trashed, they want it out of their lives? 34%. And that is going to be supposedly his namesake for the future? For what he accomplished while being a president? How pathetic is that? Calls welcome, 436-2244-1-866-927-4587. I know there's a lot of people out there saying, well, how dare he say he wishes bad things for the president and this administration? I do. You can put my name next to that. You can write newspaper stories, Times News. You can really criticize me, because we're not going to get any better as a nation until we get rid of this absolutely pathetic socialistic viewpoint of liberalism in this country. Amen. Mark my words. Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop, 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls. Number to call, 736-2490. And make arrangements for an appointment to get your four-wheeled wonder in there. Had a little accident, kind of backed into a pole, got a wrinkly-crinkly. Maybe something else happened to your vehicle that needs to be fixed. Well, I'll tell you what, they strive to make your vehicle repairs undetectable. They did a phenomenal job on my pickup after this last summer. We had a little to do, and they really fixed it up. I guarantee you, these guys are good. Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop, 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls. Number to call again, 736-2490 in Twin Falls, and serving you. I'm going to go over to my lovely lady that works the board and runs the program, and that's Gina. Do we have Mr. Jim McCall on the phone?
Yes, we do.
Oh, you are so efficient. Good morning, fearless leader of our singing fest next Thursday on the 19th, driving the flatbed trailer as we sing Silent Night and God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. Good morning, Jim McCall.
Well, good morning, Zeb.
You know, a lady called me the other day, and she must have known you quite well. But she said after our interview of when I said I had you pictured standing there holding on to your pink Bubba rope with pipe insulation wrapped around you, she said what a horrible thought, and it kept her up that entire evening.
Oh, yeah, well, didn't do me any good either.
What's going on at Travel Loop Supply?
Well, of course, we're still fighting the cold, so get your fuel filters and fuel treatment in those vehicles so they will run and stay running. You don't get stranded out on a cold, lonely road somewhere.
Absolutely.
Also, the shop projects are starting for this winter, and if you guys need bolts, any hardware for your projects, give us a call. Let us give you some quotes on what you might be needing. We can have stuff custom made. We don't have in stock what you need. Our suppliers can custom make and galvanize any kind of bolt that you might need. We've got well over 1,000 different sizes and types in stock, so maybe we've already got it.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, whatever they need, pipe insulation tape or pipe wrap insulation kits, pink Bubba ropes, all that they need they can just find right through Travel Loop Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn, with my friend Jim McCall, 438-8730. Jim, God bless you, and take some time off and just go Christmas shopping and relax.
Well, sounds like we got to do that this weekend.
I know I'm headed in there, because if I put it off, the 24th is going to be here, and I'm going to be sitting there doing nothing. So I got to get it done today. God bless you, my dear friend, and I'll be talking to you later.
All right, Seb.
Thanks, Jim. One of the nicest guys in the world right there, Travel Loop Supply. Jim McCall, 438-8730. Whoa, it's time now for the Capital Press Ag Minute, and it is brought to you by our friends at Pacific Steel and Recycling. 2 locations to serve you at 320 West Main in Burley and 1987 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls. Boy, oh boy, I tell you what, 10 cents per pound on aluminum cans, a bonus, along with $20 per ton on scrap iron and tin if you bring by 2 canned good items, and all the donations will be given to the Helping Hands mission. And by the way, each canned food transaction will be entered to win in the Christmas dinner contest. Drawing's going to be on the 18th. We'll tell you who won. And these are wonderful people at Pacific Steel and Recycling in Burley and Twin Falls. Here now, the Ag Minute.
Majority Leader Harry Reid says the Senate will not extend current farm law if Congress can't agree on a new farm bill before adjourning next week. House leaders have reserved space on their agenda this week for extending the current law until the end of January. Lawmakers fear the milk prices might rise sharply if dairy subsidies expire January 1st. The House and Senate have passed separate versions, but with widespread differences over crop subsidies and how much to cut food stamps. House Speaker John Bonner said last week the House could extend the current law while negotiations seek a compromise. Some senators fear an extension relieves pressure to get a deal.
Oh. Okay.
Well, that was rather abrupt, wasn't it?
I don't know about you, but I was waiting for the end of the movie. I still had half my popcorn left.
I know, me too.
Well, thank you very much, Capital Press. And by the way, it's Boehner. I think maybe I'll call her and let her know that. Pacific Steel and Recycling at 320 West Main in Burley and 1987 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls, bringing you the Capital Press Ag Minute. Really nice people. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Are you sitting down?
Helen, anytime I hear your voice on my radio program, I quickly grab a chair because I get very nervous and shaky.
Well, Helen, I wanted to point out, did you notice Mama Obama sitting next to Obama with that photo op? I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be around him from her.
Helen,
he was mad.
Helen, I got to tell you something. You read my mind, because when I came out of the break, I was going to ask Gina if she had seen the photograph of Barack Obama kind of nestling up to the Danish Prime Minister, the blonde, good-looking, long-legged lady, and taking a selfie on a cell phone, and Michelle Obama is sitting as far away to the other side in that chair as possible, and there was smoke curling out of her ears, and there were flies steaming out of her eyes, and her jaw was set, and you could see that Mama Obama was one teed-off little first lady.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I laughed at that. Sock it to him.
Well, I'll tell you what, as big as she is, she could darn sure get the job done.
Right. Have a good day.
Bye, Helen. God bless you. Gina, I got to get you on the air real quick before I take this next call.
I'm looking for the video.
If you didn't see those 2 pictures, you're missing something, because I've got them right here in front of me.
Where did you find them so I can go and look at them?
Where did I find them? They were sent to me by Dave Bigo, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
And I've got them right here in front of me, and I'll try to get those out of the pile here and get the listing as to where you can check on it.
Yeah, just give me the link, because I want to see that one, and you've got another phone call.
All right, I'll take the call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Did you see a later picture where she traded places with Obama and he was kissing on her hand to try to over?
Barack is actually not a very smart guy. I thought what he did, no, seriously, and I'm saying this, Doug, because I thought what he did, giving a handshake to Raul Castro, I thought was very stupid. I thought what he did with some of the other leaders of the world that are absolutely communists and killers and pathetic leaders, shaking hands, giving them hugs and everything, I thought was very uncalled for. But this picture at the Mandela service, here you're sitting there for a service. You're supposed to be remembering somebody, and it's a very somber occasion, and when you look at the picture, they're all leaning together, smiling to take a selfie, and Michelle Obama is sitting as far away as possible from that photograph with a very stern look on her face. And I'll tell you what, I would hate to have shared a cup of coffee the next morning with Michelle, because it ain't going to be a happy camper, I'll tell you that.
that'd been a longer ride home than getting your wife mad at a restaurant and driving home.
Well, it's 20 hours on Air Force One to leave there and fly back to the United States, and I'll guarantee you Barack would have been better off if he'd have taken a slow boat to China.
Yep.
So, God bless you, man.
Yeah,
thanks. Merry Christmas.
If Gina wants to see those pictures, have her go to Michelle Malcolm, go to her Twitter feed.
Oh, okay. All right.
She posted them, and they were on Facebook.
Once you see
what I called about,
okay,
what scares me is the 38% approval. There's still 38% of the people out there think he is doing a good job.
Well, that number is an ambiguous number, though. I want you to remember that 38 is a compilation of sometimes many of the polls to get a standard figure and number. Mm-hmm. And as I said, the independent voters poll is down to 30%. So I'll dare say, and I'll stand behind my figure of 37% approval rating and dropping like a rock in a bucket of water. I said it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to still maintain that before the end of the next 30 days, with the failure and the absolute ineptness of Obamacare, you might see in the next compilation of polls to where he's down below possibly 35%.
Oh, yes. But like I say, it scares me that there's some people out there still approve of what he's doing.
Yeah, but wait, let me ask you a question, Doug. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I said a few minutes ago, and I said a very strong statement, and many people are going to be offended by that, because basically what I was doing is wishing and hoping for this president and this administration to fail. And I'm very emphatic about that. I'm doing all I can to pray for their failure. And the reason was, if people listened to the extended part of my verbiage, the reason is we've got to hit bottom in this country so that we can absolutely pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and be better.
Right. We got to get to where most all of us, 90% of us, disapprove of this, and then we'll all stand up together to fix it.
Absolutely. But if it goes along in kind of a piecemeal fashion of maybe taking this and accepting that, and maybe this fails, and maybe that'll succeed, and we're going to be stagnated, and we're not going to get the people to finally say, you know what, we're turning into a country of gimme, 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 I want this, government take care of me, government's going to supply for me, and it's going to get worse as a socialistic type nation, and until this man fails emphatically, and we go down to the bottom of the bucket, nothing is going to make this country wake up.
No, you got it, hit the nail on the head right there. You got to hit bottom before you can rebuild.
I know.
War country. You know?
I know, Doug, and I'll tell you this, and you can see the handwriting on the wall. The liberals and all the people out there that are kind of in between, they're saying, wow, what a terrible thing for a talk show host to wish and hope that the president fails and wish and hope that his administration fails. But it's with due good purpose, Doug, because we're not going to ever improve until we get rid of these trashy, absolutely pathetic attitudes.
Well, I think we're going to get rid of a lot of them next November.
I hope you're right. I pray you're right.
I think we are. They've gotten in a boat that's sinking, and you're going to see them scattering like rats here in just a bit.
I think that's a very fair assessment of what we have back there, a bunch of rats that are just in it for themselves and really don't care about sharing the cheese with anybody else.
Right.
All right.
And if we can't get them to do what the people say, we've got to figure out, the states need to figure out, okay, we're going to quit sending you guys money because basically we're sending you money to enslave us.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, God bless. Merry Christmas, man. We appreciate you. Thank you. Don't forget your Mini-Cassia Area Merchants Association. Shop locally. There's great stores in this area. There's great business owners in this area. There's great Christmas shopping in this area. Support your friends and neighbors who do local business with you. Shop them first. Don't take your money out of town. Let's all flourish. Let's all have fun. Let's all wish each other Merry Christmas. And don't forget, you can get your shopping passports stamped at local stores and check the local papers for coupons and specials. Yes, shop locally at your Mini-Cassia Area Merchants Association, serving you. Oh, hey, there is going to be, this is a fun deal. There's going to be a party coming up this next Saturday, and it's going to be at the Four Paws Bed and Bath for dogs and kitty cats. And what they do is they have Santa Claus come in there, and it's on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., and Santa sits down in a big chair, and then you can bring in your Dobermans and your Irish Wolfhounds and your St. Bernards and your Chihuahuas and all this, and you can sit them on Santa's lap. He's going to love this, and along with all your kitty cats with long claws, and take pictures of Santa at the Santa party at Four Paws Bed and Bath. They're going to have refreshments, and they're going to have first aid probably too, and then also discounts and drawings and free gift wrapping, all kinds of fun things at Four Paws Bed and Bath. I love Kathy. She's got a great business over there. It's a better hotel for dogs and cats than you'll find a lot of times on the interstate for people. This is fantastic. Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert, 438-4444. You just want to know just how dumb this country's getting? I'll give you an example of absolutely how backward in our thinking in this country. A 6-year-old boy, 6 years of age. They showed him on television, cute little guy, little blonde, tow-headed kid, and 6 years old in Colorado, has now a permanent record as a sex offender. What? Yeah. He has now on his permanent record the entry sex offender, and he has been suspended from school. Why in the world, you're saying, was a 6-year-old suspended from school? Well, the reason is simple. My goodness, he committed the heinous crime of kissing a girl's hand. He kissed a girl's hand. He evidently had seen someone on television, when they were introduced to someone, reach out, grab the girl's hand, and kiss her hand as a form of hello. Well, this school district has an absolute staunch, thou shalt not touch, thou shalt not do this. So they suspended this little boy and put on his record that he's a sex offender. I couldn't make this stuff up. The mother is a fighter. God bless her, she's a fighter. And she's going after these buffoon clowns that run that school, and she's going to take them to task. And I hope she wins, and I'm going to try to get her on the phone, hopefully this next week, and get her on the air. I hope she gets them all fired. This is lunacy. A 6-year-old boy reaches out and takes a little girl's hand and kisses her hand hello, and he has on his permanent record, sex offender? That tells you right there how absolutely off the wall this country is becoming. We're completely nuts. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Hey, can I give you a spelling lesson?
I don't care. Go ahead.
The last 4 letters in American is I can. The last 4 letters in Republican is I can. The last 4 letters in Democrats is rats. The end of the lesson is to follow November the 6th, 2014.
Well, Jerry,
this is Rodent Extermination Month.
I tell you something, Jerry, I just hope America wakes up. And everything I said earlier in the program, I know those on the liberal left have taped it. They're going to write blogs about me and everything else, wishing the very worst for Obama, but it's for a purpose. It's for a purpose, Jerry, because this country has to see, they have to feel, they have to touch how bad this ideology is with a socialist left bent to move us right down the tubes. We've got to hit rock bottom and then pull ourselves up.
I agree with you 100%. And, you know, as far as this kid kissing the girl on the hand, it's plumb stupidity. Look what the school's teaching them.
Absolutely.
They're even handing them out condoms.
I know. The lunacy and the ambiguity in the school system, you're 100% right. Jerry, God bless you. And by the way, to you and your lovely family, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you and your whole audience.
Oh, thank you. You're a super guy. Thank you. Hey, it is time for Michael Rogers' weather update. And it's brought to you this hour by Quality's Electronics. Oh, they've got a great big Christmas sale going on right now. You're going to find special sale prices plus additional factory instant rebates. Oh, my. Save on all the best brands like Sony and Samsung and LG and more. And, oh, they're backed up by their great local service and delivery, which is absolutely the truth. Nobody is as great as they are. Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Tell them I sent you. Stop in and see them today. Here's Michael Rogers Weather.
Everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Let me help you out a little bit. Take some good news to you. The forecast, we're still going to be cold, okay? And we're going to slowly start to warm up, and our trend's going to take us to the weekend. The real good news is that on the first day of winter, which is December 23rd, we start to gain daylight. Now, that's a positive, so just thinking flow of the positive. Other than that, put a sweater on. It's going to be chilly. You're going to warm up into the 30s today. You should see 40 by Saturday. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by my friends. Oh, they've got televisions all over the place. Great buys. Don't pass it up. Tell them I told you to get in there. Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Oh, come on. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Zeb, don't care what Nelson Mandela was or what he did or anything, but I'm going to tell you something. Obama couldn't make a good pimple on his posterior.
Well, now, Bob, that's a nice analogy. I hadn't quite thought of it that way, but I guess you have a right to figure things out for yourself.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I'm sure I'm going to ponder that for a while. Have a good one. Oh, well, that's what happens sometimes on live radio, and I love every minute of it. Texas is doing something that Arizona should do and California should do. I tell you what, they're taking the law into their hands. I was listening to a report this morning by the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, and this guy was fired up. You want to see somebody that was sitting on the edge of his chair with his necktie down a little bit and the button unbuttoned, and he says, now look, we've had it with illegal immigration. We have had it with all the crime that's coming across the border. We have had it with all the drug running and the guns and everything else on our borders. Our farmers and ranchers, they can't go out in their fields. They can't gather their cattle. We've had it. And he meant it. And Texas says that they're going to start enforcing the borders regardless of whether the federal government's going to get off their big fat duff or not. They don't have the resources. Texas doesn't have the job resources to go out and spend the money like the federal government can waste. But they're going out, and in some areas along the Texas border, they are reporting a 95%. Let me say that again so those words soak in. 95% success ratio at lowering crime, stopping illegals from coming into this country, and stopping the drug traffic. Woo! The operation down there in Texas is called Operation Strong Safety. And it's really putting the egg on the federal government's face. I love it. See, this is another example. This is a perfect example right there of where we, the people, gee, where have I heard those words before? We, the people. Huh. Interesting. We, the people, have got to take charge. We, the people, have got to tell Washington and the federal government and all these bureaucrats, wait a minute, you in that fancy three-piece suit and wingtip shoes, sit down, shut up, and listen, because we, the people, are going to speak. We, the people, want to honor our Constitution. We, the people, want our laws enforced. We, the people, want this done, and we want you to follow what we say, not what your dictates are to us. Texas is doing that. Texas is leading. There's an old slogan, when I rodeo down in Texas, you'll hear it all the time. You don't mess with Texas. Well, that's really true. And they're showing the way. They're going out and they're putting this egg on the government's face because the government isn't doing anything. The Obama administration isn't doing anything. The Obama administration is sitting back and letting all the illegals come into this country. They're letting the drug traffic come into this country. They're letting high crime occur on the borders, but not Texas anymore. They said enough is enough. They're going to protect their citizens, and they're fighting back. God bless them. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Boy, I'm in an anti-federal government mood this morning. Don't you just like to have the opportunity, like to just spit in their eye? You know, grab them all by the short end of the necktie and say, let me know when it gets too tight. Oops, sorry. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, with all 7 locations, you know, wherever you go, wherever the one is closest to you, that you're going to get the best in service, always the best in service, the best in tires for winter traction tires, the best in tires, pin for studs. You know that you can go in and get a free battery check, and they'll tell you, oops, wait a minute, you got problems here. Your battery's about ready to croak, and they've got all the good batteries in there. They got the snow chains and the snow wheels, the best in brake service and front end alignments and shocks and struts. What are you waiting for? Hurry up, go out and start the car and get over there today. We got snow coming in the next couple of weeks. You can bet on that. And they've got all your tires to help you get through the snow, the ice, and the muck. At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Your turn. Got time for some more calls. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A little bit later on this morning, Dave Bego, my good buddy from Indianapolis, Indiana, is going to call in. And by the way, for those of you looking on camera this morning, and Gina probably already has noticed it, when Dave Bego is on the air, he's a big, big fan and supporter of the Indianapolis Colts NFL football team. Well, he sent me a Colts uniform, jersey, about a year ago, and I told him, anytime you're on the air, I said, I will wear your jersey. So I have it on this morning in honor of his coming on. But, boy, he's going to have some interesting stories about unions and the thugs and the punks that are involved in the unions. Well, listen to this. Right now this morning, the teachers' unions across the United States are desperate. They are ready and willing to try any ploy. They have lost, and this number is enormous, the teachers' unions have lost over 230,000 members. They've lost over 230,000 members to the teachers' union. And today, according to the figures that were presented this morning, only 32% of the remaining NEA members view the union in a positive manner. 32% view the unions in a positive manner. That's not real good there, Gus, I'll tell you that. And the dues are way down. They're not making any money. The unions are scared, and now the unions are trying to stage a full-court press to coerce new money coming into their unions. They don't care about the kids. They care about that money coming into that union. You better believe it. We got to go out and stiff-arm and strong-arm some more members. Kids' education be danged. We've got to go out and get more money. That's basically why they made it sound in the newscast that I watched and listened to last night and again this morning. The NEA, with a loss of 230,000 members, whew, they're in trouble, and they're causing trouble. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One final thought here this morning, and I'll get Gina on the line for this, too. Gina, are you right there? She left. Oh, my goodness, she left the studio.
No.
She's left me all alone.
You all alone.
I'm on a deserted island with sharks swimming to and fro and to.
I'm here.
I got to ask you a question.
Sure.
Now, maybe I'm old-fashioned, and you can call me an old fuddy-duddy if you want me to, or if you want to.
Okay.
But when you go to a funeral, it's not for showing off yourself or your clothing or your wherewithal. You're there to honor the person that has passed away. Is that not correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Well, there's a story out this morning in the Daily Caller by Neil Monroe, and I've had Neil on my program. He lives back in Washington, D.C. And basically, the Hollywood people and the Washington, D.C. diplomats and all the senators and congressmen, they look at a funeral like what happened with Nelson Mandela as an opportunity for ambitious politicians to strut and pose in front of the cameras and the newspapers. And you know, it's really true, because there were many quotes about some of the congressmen and some of the senators saying, oh man, this is great, I'm going to have an opportunity to get out in front of everybody. Isn't that a sick and morbid way to try to further your career?
Yeah, especially, okay, so I did find those photos that you were talking about, and apparently I'm assuming those were taken at Nelson Mandela's.
They were.
At funeral.
Yeah.
Highly tacky. Okay, so if you want to have photo ops, you wait until after the service is done, after the wake is done and over with, and everybody is leaving, and then you can do your photo ops, not during the ceremony.
What do you see when you look at those photos of Obama sitting next to the Danish Prime Minister, and she's a looker? She's a looker.
They're awfully cuddly. And Michelle is not even happy at all. You can tell by the body language. She's like, dude, you are so getting it when you get home, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to punch you in the mouth.
Yeah, really, but if it wasn't for the armchair on her chair, she could have possibly slid out of the camera lens altogether. I mean, this woman is looking for a place to get out and run.
Oh, yeah, she was not happy at all. And if you go through the series of photos, there is a photo where the Danish Prime Minister and Michelle Obama are not really shaking hands because Michelle has got her own hands clenched really tightly together.
In a fist.
But yeah, she was mad. And so there was that little picture where those two were interacting, but most of them were Obama and the Danish Prime Minister being awfully dang friendly.
Yeah, with the little cell phone camera taking their little selfies, which is so stupid anyway. But, you know, if you look, you just said it just a minute ago, but I'll take that call quickly, but look at her jaw. Look at the muscles in Michelle's jaw.
Ooh, yeah.
Quick call. Caller, I got a minute. Go ahead.
Good morning, Deb. I just wanted to tell you that I sent you and Deanne a Christmas card because I found a stamp, and it was called the Holy Family, and it had a picture of Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus and a silhouette, and at the bottom of it said Christmas on it.
Amen to you. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to keep it right on my desk. God bless you for that. I appreciate that.
I sent it out Monday, so if you didn't get it yesterday, you'll probably get it today. So keep an eye out.
I will do that, sir, and God's blessings to you and a Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you very much. That's nice. I appreciate that. I got to run, which is an oxymoron because that ain't going to happen. I've got to run to the news right now, and then we'll be back. And at 9:06, we got my old buddy from Colorado, Doug Johnson, coming on. We'll talk to him about the Obama photographs. Woo! I bet he's got something to say. I'll see you back here in 6. Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Thank you very much, Gina. I love that bumper music with Christmas. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch, hour number 2 with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, and they include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Always at your disposal. That's 100% correct because they've got all the best in trash collection on get on the route service like we've been here at the ranch for years. Excellent. You can just about set your watch with those guys. They really care. Excellent trash collection. And then don't forget they've got all the dumpsters in various sizes for you to clean out the garage or maybe the basement, or maybe you better have one standing by for after Christmas. Oh my, they can take care of all your garbage needs. You better believe it. Western Waste Services. Always at at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Wonderful people serving you. Also, I want to remind you folks about our dear friend Joel Heward and his staff over at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to write down on the refrigerator, and keep in touch with these folks, 436-5636. Locally owned and operated, and they're always very, very aware that they provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort in a very trying time when there's the passing of a loved one, always with highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Give them a call, talk to them today about possibly the pre-planning of funerals to help save a lot of the stress and worry for our families. 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary with our dear friend Joel Heward and his staff, serving you, Hanson Mortuary. Well, lo and behold, it is Wednesday, and we go via the phone lines to the balmy temperatures of Colorado with our dear friend Doug Johnson. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
I'm good, Zeb. We're up to 11 degrees. I hear you got a heat wave going there, too.
Yeah, I'm at 6 right now. It's chilly out there, buddy.
You know, my horses think they've moved to Acapulco. They're living on the beach because it's so nice and warm now.
Yeah. Hey, I want to have some fun with you this morning and make a comment, but you got to promise me you're going to listen to my entire comment, and then you can either criticize me or agree with me. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, here we go. I said earlier this morning, and I'm already starting to take some heat over this, but that's fine. I said this morning that right now, this morning, I hope and I pray that Obama and his administration are a total failure for the United States of America. I hope and I pray that he becomes the worst leader ever for this country, and I hope and I pray with the stupid liberal left ideology that's trying to be forced upon us that it is the worst. And here's the caveat and the reason why I say that. Because America needs to wake up, and they need to trash the socialist movement, and until we do that, until we hit rock bottom, until we can't see over the end of the bucket, this country's going to continue to spiral down lower and lower with a gimme, gimme, gimme attitude and free passes for everybody. And until we hit the bottom of that bucket, my dear friend Doug, we're not going to become the nation that we can be and the nation that we were.
Well, you've given me an earful there, Zeb. I would say I agree mostly with you, although I think we are already, nearing the bottom. I don't know that Americans will wake up. I think that's the fear. No matter how hard we hit bottom, I think because we're seeing things happen. I related to it in my Horse Sense blog this week. A case they're taking away not just our freedoms, but they are now telling us what we must do. And so, while I would agree with you in one sense, my great fear is that Americans aren't, no matter how bad it gets, they're not going to wake up, because most Americans are not paying attention. And until it's gone and it's too late, I don't know that they will wake up. And that's what my great fear is.
I can't dispute possibly your opinion on that, but I will say this, whether it's Obamacare, whether it's our world strategy as far as a lack of security that this administration has shown, whether it's our economy, whether it's our lack of energy programs, whatever, I honestly believe that this man's ideology and the socialist movement that he pretends and tries to push upon us, it has to be so severe that Americans are going to finally realize, oh my goodness, what have we done? We've got to reach for our goals. We've got to try to bring this country back to we the people. And I think it's going to take something severe before they get to that point.
Well, I would agree with that, but I'll give you two examples, and I will disagree with one statement you used. You used the term his socialist, referring to socialism. I've gone past that. He is further down the road than socialism. He's at Marxist socialism or communism. That's exactly what he represents. And if you really study, communism versus or compared to what Obama stands for, that's what he represents. That's what we're really facing. So I think it's even worse than just what people think of. Socialism sounds very cushy and soft, and they think of countries like Britain and France, and they go, well, they're okay because they're socialist. In a sense, socialist democracies, and it's not quite the same, but it's okay. And what Obama represents is far worse. And so the two examples I'm going to give, one is my example that represents how far America is from recognizing the problem is we have people, even conservatives, major name conservatives, honoring the death of, or the life of Nelson Mandela, who was an avowed communist. He was not a political prisoner, as they claim. He was a terrorist that went to prison for terrorism. He was offered freedom and wouldn't denounce violence and terrorism to get his freedom. So for 27 years he sat in prison because he would not denounce violence and terrorism. His best friends in his political life were Yasser Arafat and Fidel Castro and Muammar Gaddafi. He called the United States that more than any other country it had committed unspeakable atrocities in the world and didn't care for human beings. This is who this man was, and people are saying he was a great man, and I have a problem. Yes, he stood against apartheid, and I would agree with that, but that doesn't mean the other things he did. Stalin helped us in World War II, but it didn't make him a great man. So that's, when I see people falling for that, Zeb, I'm very concerned. And I'm going to let you respond before I give you my other half of that, because my other half goes a little different direction. But I'm really concerned because people are just sitting back and saying, yes, he was a great man and we should honor him. And I don't think we should be honoring a communist. I have a problem with that.
No, and I'm on your page, but I want to go back to what you said where you criticized, not really criticized, but you opted to challenge me on the word socialism and socialistic. But you see, Doug, that's the problem with our society. They have learned to accept the word socialism and not understand what Marx is or what he represented or anything else more devastating to our economy and to our society. They've accepted the word socialism as almost, gee, it's kind of palatable. Gee, it might be all right. Gee, it might be better than capitalistic approach to our economy and everything else. It's the acceptance factor with that word that scares me because that's what they're perpetrating.
Well, I think you're right, and I would say this, and I think I don't do this often on shows because people have enough to do in their lives. I'm an avid reader, and I think we all need to be, especially these days. But there is a book out there written a few years ago called The Politically Incorrect Guide to Socialism that every single American should read. It is very clear, it is very succinct, and it really spells out what it is. And I think it opens people's eyes to it's not this fuzzy, okay, little we all help each other governing system. It's a very evil system, and people don't realize that. And that's why I'm backing away from using the term and using the more descriptive term of communism, because I think people need to wake up to what we face.
You know, Doug, I got to do a commercial break, but let me just give me a short answer on this. Honestly, I think our society has turned into, the majority of people have said, I want what you have. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I don't want to work for it, but I want to enjoy it just like you do. I think that's the mindset of the major part of our country right now.
I absolutely agree. Narcissism, selfishness, and greed rule the day in our society, unfortunately.
Absolutely. I got to do a quick commercial. I'll be back with more with Doug Johnson. Don't go away. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more, because they serve you, they serve your family, and they can help you with your business too. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Dean and Todd are dedicated to responsive to all of your needs, very thoughtful and caring. Please write this number down and call them. They know insurance. They are the professionals. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Give them a call today. Doug, you know, maybe my words are harsh, and I know some people were offended by my absolutely wanting Obama to fail and everybody with him go down with the ship, if you will. But I'll go back and say, to reiterate some of our conversation, until we realize what we've lost, we're not going to appreciate it and try to get it back.
No, I think you're right, and I'm to a point where, and I'm not trying to be offensive by saying this, but frankly, I don't care if people don't like what I have to say. I'm going to speak the truth, and it doesn't matter. You know, at the top of my blog, at horsesenseblog.com, people go there, they can read it. But I have a quote from Patrick Henry that where he says that he's going to speak his sentiments freely and without reserve, because this is what he's called to do by God, and that it would be treason towards our country and towards God if we did not speak the truth. And I think this is where we need to stand today, Zeb. So I'm with you on that. But I'm going to go a step further here, and I'm going to tell people, you know, as you know, I tell people to read my blog, but I don't usually come on and do a big pitch for it. But this week I really, really would like them to read the post I just posted this week called "What Will the Government Force You to Do?" Because there is a story in the news right here in Colorado that a baker, a guy who owns a bake shop here in Denver, has been sued because he would not make a custom wedding cake for a gay couple. And he said, I'll sell you anything in the store. I'll make you a cake. I'll make you anything, but I can't decorate it for a gay wedding. It's against my Christian convictions. So, I can't do that. They sued, the ACLU got involved. The judge has just ruled that he must do this or face jail and fines. And now it's being appealed, of course, and it's going to work its way up probably all the way to the Supreme Court. There's a similar case in Oregon that has happened with a baker. There's cases with photographers and florists and various things. And the point I raise is in response to something that was said by an official in Oregon about a similar case, where he said our purpose in correcting people like these Christian bakers is to rehabilitate them. They want to do to us, to make us think the way they want us to think. Politically correct thought, Zeb. They want to do what the Soviet Union did when they would send people to the Gulag or to mental institutions, what North Korea does when they send people to labor camps, what totalitarian regimes do. That's what they're looking at doing. This man is threatened with jail if he doesn't do this. This isn't America. This is a religious freedom issue. We need to be standing behind people like this. I'm really up in arms about this case, and I think every American needs to be aware of this. This is the kind of thing that is happening. They're forcing us to do things, and I think that this is more in tune with defining what's happening in America than a bad economy and things like that. This is the real crux of it. It's our freedoms and our liberties.
I couldn't agree more. As a matter of fact, to elaborate a little bit on what you said, I have had the store owners of the photography company in New Mexico on my program, and also the lawyers representing them through the Alliance Defending Freedom. And you're 100% spot on. It's going to take absolute standing up, standing tall, and standing as a Christian to say, no, these are my beliefs. This is my business. I have private individual rights that I'm going to employ through my business in this great country of America, and I will not adhere to what you're telling me to do, so be it. And people are going to have to make a decision, Doug, as to going and serving jail time to stand up for their rights, or we're going to be run right over.
That's right, and we should be marching in the streets. I said in that blog post, I asked the question, what would happen if that shop owner were black and a Ku Klux Klan member had come in and said,
yes,
we want you to make a cake that celebrates the KKK.
Yes.
Or if a Jewish baker was forced to make a cake to celebrate Hitler's birthday, or a Jehovah's Witness baker was asked to make a birthday cake because they don't celebrate birthdays. It would be... it's the exact same thing. Now, a Muslim baker would not be held accountable because they're politically untouchable at this point. But it's about more than just bakeries and florists and weddings and stuff, too. People need to realize, what if a doctor who is pro-life is forced to perform an abortion? What if a teacher that believes in creationism is forced to teach evolution as a fact and not as a theory? I mean, these things are happening, and what goes even further, because people say, yeah, I'd stand against it. Well, let me give an example where we haven't stood hard enough against something, Zeb, and this affects every single person hearing you and I speak, and that is the government's already forced us to do something, and there's a penalty if we don't, and that's called Obamacare. We're being forced to purchase health insurance against our wishes if we don't want it, and there's a penalty if we don't do it. That is the exact same thing. I don't care what the Supreme Court ruled. It violates our freedoms. And I am absolutely up in arms about all this, because this is where we have to draw the line. This is where we have to do more than just say, I don't agree. We need to be out there protesting. I will give radio hosts credit. This baker in Denver, a local radio host, has pledged to stand behind him. The local radio host is pro-gay marriage, and yet he says, but this isn't about gay marriage. This is about the man's right to practice his religion and live within his conscience. And this radio host is actually promoting some fundraising to help this guy with his legal bills. And Dennis Prager, the nationally known radio host, has now offered to also do a national fundraiser for the guy. And this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to support these kind of people, because even if it's somebody I don't agree with, this is about freedom. So and I'll go back to an example I use, so if a Jehovah's Witness baker were forced to bake a birthday cake, I would stand with him. I don't agree with Jehovah's Witnesses' beliefs, but I believe in his freedom as an American, and I would stand by him if he were Jehovah's Witness, or any other situations we can come up with. And I am just, as you can probably tell, I am just absolutely impassioned by this whole thing because this is out of control.
Doug, there's a couple of things, and Gina just texted me a message at my studio, and it's something that I asked one of the lawyers with the Alliance Defending Freedom about 3 weeks ago on my program. And let me finish this. I've got a caveat to add to it. Whatever happened to the sign at the front of the door that says, "We reserve the right to refuse service for no shirt, no shoes, no service, etc." You know, that's been cast away. And one of the things I'd like to also address, and I want you to talk about that, is that there's an old country song, not that old, but maybe 10, 15 years old, by Aaron Tippett, and it was a song called, "If You Can't Stand for Something, You'll Fall for Anything." And that's exactly what we're having happen in this country right now. Go ahead.
You're absolutely right, and I'll, I can give you example after example as a businessman myself of situations, and this is about forcing people to do things against their will. I go back to the baker in Denver. This is not about them wanting a cake from him, because frankly, if you don't want to do business with me, I really don't want to do business with you either. This is about forcing a change of belief system.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are out to destroy people with common Judeo-Christian values, and they're going to force a change. And this is really important. And I think back to you're probably familiar with Martin Niemöller, the Lutheran minister in World War II in Germany, when he wrote the poem where he said, first they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. And he goes through and he lists all the different things that the Nazis came and people they took away. And in the end he says, then they came for me and there was no one left to speak out for me.
Absolutely.
This is what we need to remember. This is where we stand together. Even if I don't agree with you on everything, I stand with you for your right to be free. I stand with, and I hate to say this, but I stand with the Nazis' right to march in Skokie, Illinois, as they did years ago. As disgusting as it was, as long as they aren't harming somebody, they have a right to have their views and speak their mind in America, because we are a land of freedom. And we are seeing this taken away right now in front of us, and it's really, really critical.
Well,
that
Doug,
we stand up. Ronald Reagan reminded us that freedom was only one generation away from extinction, and that's where we're at right now.
Doug, one other point, and I've only got 2.5 minutes left here, so bear with me on a short answer. But look at the employing of people. I mean, I'm an employer, and when people came to me and wanted a job as a sales representative, I mean, they come in with their baggy pants hanging down below the crack of their posterior and earrings and tattoos galore, some with obscenities, etc., and they're applying for a job. It's getting to the point now in this country, and I think you'll agree with me, that we're being told who we can hire and what limitations that we can use to say no. Our freedoms are gone in the business world.
Absolutely, absolutely. You might be able to, you used the example earlier of the sign that says no shirt, no shoes, no service. You might, for example, in a restaurant, be able to make a case for health reasons or safety reasons. Maybe some of that shouldn't be allowed and get away with that. But you're going to have a real solid case, other than just it's not presentable, it's not acceptable, you don't look right, and this is a problem, because you and I have a mutual friend, Dave Vigo, and Dave owns a very successful large business, and I would be curious Dave's reaction. He sent me an email last night. He'd seen my post, and he told me he liked it. He was going to put it in his newsletter, and I raise this question to any business owner. What do you do when they force you to do something? Now, I know Dave well enough. Dave will take a stand at the cost
Absolutely.
of everything, because Dave's a principled human. But we all have to not just be willing to do that. We have to do that with other people, because we may not be the business owner under attack today, but we might be tomorrow. We may not even be a business owner. We're just a citizen. But are they going to? When are they going to stop telling us what to do? And it's only going to happen when we get change in America.
Well put. Man, I wish I had more time with you this morning. I'm flat out of time, but I want to tell you, too, that Dave is going to be on my program in about a half an hour at 10:06.
I will have to tune in.
I will tell him all your kind words. Listen, I really appreciate everything that you do on this program, and I enjoy the conversation, and I enjoy that if we're a little bit off on the agreement meter, we always have a tendency to talk things out and come up with some common ground. Doug Johnson, the author of the Horse Sense blog and the book No Tomorrows, I really say this and mean it. God bless and Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Well, God bless you, and Merry Christmas to you and your audience, Ed.
All right, my friend. Talk to you next week, and take care, and all the best to you.
Okay, you too.
Thank you. One of my favorite people, Doug Johnson from Colorado, and really enjoy having him on. Hey, don't forget Valley Wide Home and Ranch, our Cowboy Christmas remote tomorrow. I want everybody over there. Last year, you folks supported this remote. I mean, we literally had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people come by. It was phenomenal. It's going to be tomorrow from 8 to 11 right there at Valley Wide Home and Ranch at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. I just bit my tongue. You probably noticed that. You can come in and register for men's and women's clothing that we're going to be giving away just tomorrow morning. It's going to be fantastic. Free cinnamon rolls the first hour from Sophie's Chatterbox. Oh, they're good. And, of course, there's going to be 10% off everything in the store, excluding fuel. And listen to this. Clothing and boots. Buy two, get one free of equal or lesser value. Ken Mort's going to be there with the songs of Christmas. It's going to be fantabulous. Valley-wide Home and Ranch Cowboy Christmas tomorrow. And that's at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of weeks ago, I just got an idea, and I said, hey, I'm going to have a Christmas Carol on my program, and I called our old friend Steve Pickett at Pickett Equipment Company at 976 East Main in Burley, and I said, Steve, how about sponsoring our Christmas Carol daily on my talk show? Absolutely. Don't forget Pickett Equipment Company, since the 1970s, known worldwide for the best in bean equipment, the Twin Master Edible Bean Combine, the Double Master Plus Side Pull Combine, and the great one-step rod cutter. Give Steve and the crew a call at Pickett Equipment Company today at 678-0855. And here now, our Christmas Carol of the day. I love that song. I love that song. I love Christmas music, and thank you, Pickett Equipment Company at 976 East Main Street in Burley, for providing our Christmas Carol of the day. God bless you. Thank you so much. We're going to have our next guest on the program momentarily. I want to remind everybody about furniture, comfort, and enjoying your home. All lumped together if you stop in at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness, all the folks there just know furniture. They know carpeting. They know all about floor coverings. They know all about bedroom sets. They know all about mattresses. They know everything. They do. And they'll help you with your comfort and beautification of your home, whether it might mean area rugs or TV entertainment centers or curio cabinets, bunk beds. Hey, ask them questions. They've got the answers, and they've got everything you're looking for. Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Really nice people. And by the way, speaking of nice people, I've got to enter into the conversation, the wonderful folks over at Let's Ride. Simply put, I put this tagline on their commercial years ago when they started on this program, and it's really the truth. That's where the fun is sold. They sell fun. That's right. They've got all your snow machines, and they got all your four-wheelers and your motorcycles and all the accessories and 0% financing on some styles. Holy buckets, you better get in there and see them today. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays from 9 to 6 on Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Oh, and that parts and service department, absolutely the best people in the whole universe, ready to serve you. Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, definitely where the fun is sold. Now, a lot of you might think and might feel like it's Thursday because this next lady is normally on Thursdays, but I didn't want to miss her because we're going to be over at the Valley Wide Home and Ranch remote tomorrow, and I wanted to get her on the air for her opinions. Good morning to the lovely, vivacious, always stunning with great conversation tidbits. Here's Rita Ramsey.
Good morning. How you doing this Wednesday day?
I'm running out of great things to say about you every week.
I would just say she's just here.
Hey, I'm going to throw the same thing at you I did at Doug Johnson a little bit ago, and you might be critical of me, and you can feel free to chew me out if you want to. But I listened to the news last night, and I told my wife, I said, you know, this is ridiculous. I said, I'm going to get on the program tomorrow, and I'm going to absolutely say that I want this country to hit rock bottom with Obama. I want the ideologies to hurt everybody. I want want it absolutely to be a wake-up call that this is what the liberal socialists are trying to do. And we've got to reach the bottom of the bucket in order to appreciate what our forefathers lived and died for, and the concepts of our Constitution and all the value systems in this country. We're not going to realize what we've lost until we get to the bottom of the basement. Do you agree or disagree?
Actually, I've been saying that for quite some time myself. It's funny that you would say that. Last night, Glenn and I had to run up to take some stuff up to our kids, and we left after work and run up to Rexburg, and as we were going further north, it was getting further cold and down below zero, and we were talking about one thing and the other, and I said, you know, it kind of surprises me that with the economy and everything the way that it's been for the last several years, and it's been bad, and there's a lot of people that are out of work, there's a lot of businesses that have gone bust, there's just been some really bad things happen with our economy, and I think that this administration, and not necessarily just the Democrats, because I think that some of the Republicans are probably on board with it. Maybe they just wouldn't ever say yes, but because they're progressives, they're on board with it. It's kind of like, well, in order to get control of it, we have to let all of this go down. And they've let us go down, but, you know, I think it speaks highly of the American spirit, and that's what I told Glenn. I said, you know, it's the American spirit that has kept us from just totally going bust, because we've had to adapt, we've had to change, we've had to do that in our business. There's numbers of businesses across this country that have had to do it. And yet, with this American spirit of freedom, keeps pushing people to say, you know what, you can get us down and you can kick us, but you're not going to keep us down, and we're going to do what we have to do to make this work and to survive it. And so you adapt and you do the things that you need to do, and you cut back and you slim things down as best you can, and you just keep chugging along, because that's the American spirit of freedom, and that's the one thing that these progressives forget that Americans have, and that is the spirit of freedom, and we're not ready to give it up.
You know, I said also in the first hour that we've got to get to the point where almost all of our society has to say no more free passes, no more gimme, gimme, gimme. You're going to have to work for your own success and for the values of your own family. No more big nanny state, no more freebies. That's it. We're going to just absolutely start from the ground up and build back what we used to have in this country, and that's integrity and responsibility.
Well, and I think that in order to happen is exactly what has to happen, according to the question you asked me at the very beginning, is that don't we have to basically have a reset where we just go totally bust, and it's like, okay, now we're going to have to just start over and get going, and I think that you're right. I've been doomsdaying myself for a long time.
Well, I don't want to say it's doomsday, Rita, but I am going to say this, and we've got a caller waiting with a question, but I think it's pure naivete on behalf of many Americans that we can't keep going on this path. We have no energy program. We've got this stupid, absolutely frivolous green energy, which is costing us money, hasn't made one dime back to the American public. We've got a national security system that is absolutely void of protecting us. We've got all the world looking at us and basically wrinkling their nose at us. They don't respect us anymore. And we're almost at the basement level right now. But the one thing we've got to make American people realize is no more free passes, no more gimme, gimme. Doggone it, get out and work, and we'll make ourselves a much better society.
Well, we're just not going to be able to keep doing it, because we will bust. We will bust on that. It's going to run out, and it's getting close to running out.
I agree. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Quickly, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to have Rita comment on the Chamber of Commerce support of our illustrious representative from this area. 92% he votes for what the Chamber of Commerce wants. I would like to see where she says the Chamber of Commerce and where he stands. Hang up and listen.
Good question. Go ahead, Rita.
Well, nationwide, the Chamber of Commerces have not been on the conservative fiscal end. It's kind of like they're anxious for business, for big business, and they'll do whatever it is. And sometimes they even look at it like, oh, we have these grants. They're going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's bring them in here and get things going and get things moving. And so you get grants that come in via the Chamber of Commerce, has gone out fishing and found some of those. And I have to hand it to them. I mean, they're trying to keep communities going and businesses going. I mean, that's what they do. But they get some of these grants and various different things, and those people come in and they get low rent this or low taxes that or incentive this and incentive that, and then as soon as their money has been used up, then they go someplace else. And so it doesn't become a good thing for the community unless they stay for years on end. And a lot of them just come and take it and then leave. And that's why the Chamber of Commerce is say, we're for Simpson because he's on the EPA board and he's on this and he's on that and he's sent a lot of business our way and he's trying to keep things going. But for them to endorse him without really knowing what the other guy that's running against him stands for is kind of curious, because none of us know what the other guy's for because he hasn't got out there enough yet, and it's not full speed ahead.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Right there, I'm going to intercede. I put a little blame at his feet also. I think the man has not been as visible as a challenger that he should have. I've called his office at least a half a dozen times and have said the same thing to his people that work for him. You've got to be out. You've got to be more of a squeaky wheel than any other challenger has ever been. I don't see it. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right, and this kind of concerns me, but I also feel like that if I were in his shoes, I don't, obviously I don't want to run for congressperson, so I can understand. I mean, it's just one big hit after the other, and he kind of jumped in, said he was testing the waters and going to do it back in July, I guess it was. And so you have to go for a year and a half doing this. Well, he's got a business to run, and he's got family to take care of and everything, and that's what's bad about the incumbent is he's got all these people pushing money into his pocketbook so he can just do any of the politicking that he wants, and this other guy has to start from scratch. And then we get irritated because there's not somebody really strong out there that can just come in and steamroll over Simpson, and I wish that we could, or that we could raise a ton of money and get behind him and help him get out there and do it. But, he has to have the will on his own to do it, or just not going to work.
Absolutely. Rita, I'm going to ask your indulgence and patience for a few minutes. I've got to do a sponsorship and then the weather with Michael Rogers. Stand by for more with Rita Ramsey. Don't forget Merry Christmas wishes from the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce office at 1177 7th Street in Heyburn. They've got a great gift shop over there. Stop in and see them today. The Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce. Really nice people. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. Redder's Showcase at 2611 Overland Avenue in Burley with Stanton Furniture, Serta, Tempur-Pedic mattresses, Whirlpool, Maytag, Amana Appliances, all of this and more for your Christmas shopping, and wishing you a Merry Christmas from Redder's Showcase. Also, gift certificates and garden gifts would be the perfect gift for the outdoor person on your Christmas list from our dear friend Vicki at Vicki's Country Gardens. Call her and make arrangements to stop by for those gift certificates, 438-5663, Vicki's Country Gardens. And last but not least, don't forget all your Christmas needs, all your book needs at the Book Plaza with Colonel Dale. 3 floors of books, over 200,000 books and all the gifts. Everything at the Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. We're going to quickly have a weather update brought to you by our friends. Oh boy, I love this place. You got to stop over at the Magic Valley Chalet and the Upper Crust Restaurant, 1367th Street in Heyburn. They've got everything over there at the Magic Valley Chalet. All the goodie baskets, and you can customize your basket that you're going to give to your loved ones or your neighbors. And believe me, they can deliver in the local area, or UPS can deliver. You better believe it. Ice cream for Christmas at the Magic Valley Chalet. Eggnog, chocolate eggnog, and peppermint chocolate chip, among others. Oh, it's delicious. And upstairs, the fantastic menu at the Upper Crust. You're going to love it at the Magic Valley Chalet and Upper Crust, 1367th Street in Heyburn. Here's Michael Rogers with the weather.
Everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Let me help you out a little bit. Taking good news to you. The forecast, we're still going to be cold, okay? And we're going to slowly start to warm up, and that trend's going to take us to the weekend. The real good news is that on the first day of winter, which is December 23rd, we start to gain daylight. Now, that's a positive, so just thinking flow of the positive. Other than that, put a sweater on. It's going to be chilly. You're going to warm up into the 30s today. You should see 40 by Saturday. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you this hour by the Magic Valley Chalet and Upper Crust. Ooh, it's good. neighborhood at 1367th Street in Heyburn. Rita, I want to shift gears a little bit, and boy, if you watched the news yesterday, you had plenty to choose from as topics of conversation. But I want to ask you about what happened over at Nelson Mandela's memorial funeral and the shaking of the hands of Obama to some of the worst leaders in the world, including Raul Castro and others. I'm not going to go by the mistake that was made by the press in saying, oh, well, he had to walk by him, and, oh, well, he had to reach out as a gentleman and shake his hand. No, I'm going to say this. At every function, for those of you that don't know this in the audience, at every function the president attends or any world leader involvement, they always know exactly where everyone is standing or where everyone is sitting, so the Secret Service can make plans for safety of our leaders and others. This was pre-planned and predestined. He knew he was going to walk by Castro. He knew he was going to shake his hand, and this was all pre-staged. Your thoughts?
I had that same thought yesterday, and we had 2.5 hours to write up to our kids yesterday. I said to Glenn, I said, President Obama doesn't have any diplomatic skills, because if he did, he would have nodded very politely to Mr. Castro and walked past him. He didn't need to snub him. He didn't need to be ignorant. He didn't need to be rude. But for him to shake hands just told you that he has no diplomatic skills in saying, you know what, there's some people that I just don't do this, do with this to show that we're trying to be friends with one another. The other part of that thing yesterday that just really ticked me off was, and I know it sounds a little trivial, but on the news there were some pictures of President Obama and
the Danish Prime Minister, yes.
Yeah, he and his wife and Michelle, all four of them were sitting there, and Mr. Cameron's wife and Cameron and Obama are all sitting there taking pictures of themselves and just having a grand old time, and I thought, this is a funeral.
Yes, I agree totally.
To have him on pictures and on film acting like teenage kids in an assembly they didn't want to attend just really ticked me off.
Well, it goes further than that. And I think most of the news media that is open-minded, they're picking up on this. The Danish Prime Minister is a very attractive, blonde, long-legged blonde, and boy, she's a showstopper when she walks into any room. And Barack and her sitting there cuzzling up a little bit to do a selfie picture on a phone camera. But then the story of the whole picture, and I've got them right here in front of me, is Michelle Obama. If you wanted to see an iceberg that could sink the Titanic, it was her.
Well, yeah, and she looked the same way when she was sitting next to Cameron and his wife. I mean, she was just sitting there just pouting. It's like, come on, grow up. Get some of your diplomatic skills out there. But we have a president and a cabinet that have no diplomatic skills. They don't want to do things, there's no protocol with them. It's not like, hey, I'm going to do this. Just like President Obama bowing to the Saudi prince. I mean, if he would have had any wits about him at all, he would have shook hands and that would have been it. You have to have some diplomacy on some of these things because you just send the wrong vibes around the world.
Absolutely. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Give us your question, please, or comment.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. What do you think about Obama screaming and yelling behind the podium at the funeral? Do you think, like I do, it reminded me of Adolf Hitler and Fidel Castro?
The speech that was given by Obama, and by the way, that cost us like $500,000 per minute to have him give like a 10-minute speech. There was a lot of things in that speech, and I want Rita to respond to this too, but there were a lot of things that were hidden and secretive messages, and the press has picked up on this, about some of the politics going on in Africa. And one of the comments that he made, and Rita, I want you to respond. Tony, thank you. We'll do this over the air. Appreciate your call. One of the comments that he made in his speech was, and I'm going to paraphrase this and shorten it up a little bit, he said, quote, "Around the world today, men and women are still imprisoned for their political beliefs and are still persecuted for what they look like or how they worship or who they love. Now, over in Africa, they've been adamantly against the gay lifestyle, and he threw that in as a good slam to them because they're not accepting of the gay and lesbian lifestyle in Africa. What are your thoughts, Rita?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. The other thing that's on top of this that is really kind of makes you just want to scorn, I mean, I think that for the world powers to go to that funeral of Mandela and honor him and everything, but you know what? He was a communist. He wasn't for democracy and freedom.
That's right. I want to go back to what you said just a minute ago about Raul Castro. Raul Castro is a very short of stature man, and I don't think he's over about 5'7", and Obama is probably about, I think, 6'2" or 6'3". And you mentioned about the bowing earlier that caused a lot of trouble over in the Middle East. But if you notice when he walked up to Castro, there again, Rita, was the bowing to Castro. I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody on this. He absolutely bowed at the hip to this little man.
Oh, that's exactly right, and that's what makes you think, just like with him giving that speech in South Africa and nuzzling in some little, what do they call them, the little messages that come through, and, giving stuff like that has, every other line there's kind of well, this line is kind of meant for you, and I can't really say what I want to say, but, here it is, and doing that kind of thing, and just the way that he handles himself with any world leaders. There should be some of them that he basically just nods to and walks past, and for him to just nuzzle up to the wrong ones should be making all of us just a little bit weary.
One thing I want to end this on this morning, Rita, is that with his ideologies and, of course, his signature, I guess, quote-unquote achievement for his administration, Obamacare, and the big wreck that it's become, this man is like a rat in a corner. I said this again first hour also. I honestly am so fearful of what Obama is going to try to do right now, possibly going into a panic mode, if you will, to achieve the green energy, to achieve the more stipulations and regulations on the American public. I'm scared of what this man's going to do over the next 3 years. Are you?
Yes, and we all should be pretty scared about it because there are so many wheels turning and so much in motion that we ought to be worried about just being totally run over, and that's what's going to happen if people don't wake up and start paying attention and getting informed and finding out all of these things that they're rolling over on top of us and making us, eat it because this is the medicine. This is good for you. I'm going to make you take it, and you're going to be better. Well, it's baloney. That's not the truth. And, people can stand up for what is right and do the things that they need to do without it being just a disaster. I don't know whether you noticed it or not, but Senator Cruz went to that deal down in South Africa, and when Raul Castro started speaking, he got out and walked out during that speech.
Yes, he did. And I said this story came across the wire services early this morning, and some friends of mine back in New York sent it to me about how many of the congressmen and senators, including the White House, have used these funerals of heads of state around the world as nothing more than a promotion to their careers. As a matter of fact, one congressman was quoted saying, "Man, I can't wait to be a part of this because of all the press I'm going to get, all the TV cameras, and it's going to be a boost to my career." Isn't that shameful?
Well, it is, and that's just another reason of why it's important that we start holding our Congress and Senate and even our local leaders to the things that they need to be doing and strain away from what their ultimate goal is, and that is spending the people's money in a fiscal way that's responsible and helping to maintain freedom and go by the Constitution. And we've not held that standard to them. We've not made them say, hey, you got to do it or you're going to be out of here.
All right, Rita, real quick, anything going on with the Tea Party that you need to acknowledge?
We're going to have Tea Party meeting tomorrow night, and then we're gearing up for one in January on Common Core, and it will be at the Fine Arts Center in January. And so we want everybody to try to reserve that date. It's the second Thursday, which is, I believe, the 9th. It's the 9th, and go to that and learn about Common Core, and let's have a dialogue about it so we can get wheels turning to get rid of this. There's been a lot of stuff come out nationally these last couple of weeks that not everybody, there's many people that are starting to push back on this because they're finding out what it is. And the people in this audience need to find out a lot of the details. And you're going to find out some of them on the radio, but you need to go to some meetings and read some information and stuff to get the facts.
Absolutely, and I'm going to be gone that week, unfortunately, but I'm going to depend on you to try to share with me as much information as you can that takes place at that meeting, okay?
I'll do it.
All right, Rita.
Have a good Christmas, and I'll talk to you next week.
I'll look forward to it. Rita Ramsey, thank you so much. God bless. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you. Bye.
Well, I told you that we're treating today kind of like Thursday because tomorrow we're going to have that live remote over at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Well, that means if you're hungry or starving to death right now, I've got some great ideas for you to go during lunchtime and not be hungry anymore. Listen to this. How about Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley with homemade pumpkin empanadas with whipped cream. That says it all. Warm up the truck. Here we go. Man, along with the Tamalito burritos and the chicken BLT burritos and the Bandito burritos, everything is just delicious over at Taco Bandito. It's been remodeled on the inside. Absolutely phenomenal. You're going to love it. Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Hey, I know two other places. Burgers, etc. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 North Overland in Burley. And this month of December marks 30 years that Burgers, etc. has been in business, and they're having a huge drawing on January 1st to thank all their customers. First place is going to be a 40-inch TV, second place a laptop, third place a $100 Visa gift card. One entry per person per day, no purchase necessary. Oh my goodness, you better get in there and check it out, along with all the great food at Burgers, etc. in Rupert and Burley. Wow, I'm drooling. How about Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn, and they make food the way you like it. Delicious. And they've got gift certificates to make Christmas gift presents for the stockings. Oh, that's a good idea. And they've got a fantastic menu with steaks and chicken and seafood and salads and all kinds of goodies. You're going to love it, including the Steve-O's nacho fries with the pork chops and the salad and the potatoes. Oh! Let's go now. They're open Monday through Saturday, and you're going to love it. Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. And last but not least, in our continuing quest to fill our hunger pains, AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. They've got the 3-piece fish and chips with small fry for only $7.25. They've got the famous Farmer Brown burgers. Turn my grandsons loose. They've got ranch burgers. They've got it all for you. All the shakes, including the delicious pumpkin shakes right now this time of the year. Where are you going? I hope. AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. And those are just a few places to go when you're hungry and starving to death. And now, a lady that can never fill her quest for delicious food.
Yes, I'm hungry.
I'm going to make sure that I'm going to actually treat you better than that. I'm going to make sure that you get 2 of those huge cinnamon rolls tomorrow.
Ooh, I will make good use of those.
In short order.
In very short order.
You know, you have a couple of tattoos. You ought to put a tattoo on your arm or over your forehead that says Hoover, because you're like a Hoover vacuum cleaner when you go to eat, man. I'll tell you really scarf that stuff down.
Well, you know, I burn a lot of calories, and so I need a lot of energy.
That is a good excuse.
Yes, isn't it though?
You do not. I've seen Gina in action, and when you put a plate of food down by her, the worst thing you can do is sit within maybe 18 inches of each elbow, because you'll get bruised and black and blued before you get away from that table.
I know, the lunch bunch, Jack Oyler was just looking at me like, wow.
And that guy can eat. Jack can eat, and he was in awe of you. He came over to me later, and he says, "Good Lord, man, I've met my match."
He just kept on looking over at me like, wow, you can stop shoveling that in. I'm thinking, nope, I'm just going for it.
Not in the next 30 minutes, anyway.
Exactly. I clean my plate.
Oh, my. I got to take a break for the news. I'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh, Merry Christmas. Wait a minute, where's my bell? There we go. I'm Zeb Bell, right here on Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Way Services. Get on the route service today. Get rid of your garbage, 734-6969. We're going to have a great friend of mine on the air with us in just a few minutes, but right now I also want to remind you that on Thursdays, except for tomorrow we're going to have that remote broadcast over at Valleywine, School Days in Cassia County, and it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley, and you can shop online at childsworldinburley.com. They've got everything for you. Please check it out today. All the coats and the dresses, 25% off tomorrow on Thursday, and they've got thousands of games and books and toys and puzzles, everything. And don't forget, too, you can receive 30% off on one item at A Child's World, 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley, along with some friends of ours at Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. For over 14 years, the Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley has saved area families thousands of dollars as they've received outstanding medical care. And don't forget, too, colon cancer can be very, very deadly. Get a colonoscopy by a board-certified doctor with years of experience at Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley, along with The Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County. Oh, by the way, don't forget a great place to go eat. Oh, one of my favorites, the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. They've got delicious luncheon specials every Monday through Friday for just $5.95. Best doggone deal in town. And then in the afternoon, Monday through Thursdays from 4 to 6 p.m., only $5.95 for the Senior Citizen Dinner Special. What's on the menu for today, Wednesday? Lasagna with garlic toast and super salad at a great place. Fun place. Super nice people. The Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now we're going to get on the air a gentleman that has become one of my very, very favorite friends, lives back at Indianapolis, Indiana. And by the way, Dave, if you have your camera on for ZebBell.com, you will notice that I'm wearing the jersey you sent me for the Indianapolis Colts. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with a rousing round of applause the president and CEO of Executive Management Services, Dave Bego. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Zeb. You look so much better in blue than you do in green. It's unbelievable.
Don't push it. Now, here's the situation, my dear friend. It looks like your Colts are, right now, mathematically, having a better year than my Packers. However, I will warn you that Green Bay is going to have their starting quarterback, Rodgers, coming back, and we're playing Dallas this week, and I think that they will easily, I shouldn't say easily, but I think they will win against Dallas. And if there's a couple of tips and turns of the old football, Green Bay could go into the playoffs in not too bad a shape.
Well, Zeb, you know I'm an old Packer fan, so I'm with you. I just, I want to see the Colts win first and then the Packers anymore. But when I was a kid, it was always the Packers. So I hope that they return to form and make it to the playoffs.
Dave, we had another good friend of both yours and mine on the air about an hour ago, and that's Doug Johnson from Colorado. And I made this statement to him, and I'm going to share it. I shared it with everybody this morning on the program, and I want to get your response. In the first hour, which is an open forum on my show, I made the following statement that I hope, now listen to the whole thing, I hope that this administration, I hope that Obama is a total failure and the worst leadership ever in America with the worst administration. Some people think that might be too strong, but the reason I say that, Dave, is that we as America, we have got to hit rock bottom. With these liberal left ideologies that are happening, we've got to wake up. We've got to get rid of this socialist movement in this country. And the only way to do that is to hit bottom and look up and look at each other and say, we're Americans, we're the best in the world, and we can try harder. Do you agree with that or not?
Well, I do, Zeb. My only concern is that how far this administration will push things. And, we've talked before. I've got some concerns about this administration's control over our armed forces and on Homeland Security. And if it did hit rock bottom and things got really ugly out there, what the reaction would be with respect to martial law, which could be concerning. And quite honestly, I have people that work for me that one gentleman's used to be in the Army, and another guy is in the reserve now, and the rumblings they're hearing are concerning. And so I think we got to be careful some of what we wish for, but yeah, I think we got to get to the point where people understand that the problem with socialism is socialism. It doesn't work. It's never worked. We need people out there to be self-reliant and build their own futures and not depend on government.
Well, yeah, and you've touched on it, and you said it very well. I said earlier that we got to stop the free passes. We've got to stop this gimme, gimme, gimme mentality. We've got to start working for our own success, our own integrity, and our own responsibility. This nation is turning into a free pass for everybody to just rely on the government to be their savior, and that's got to stop.
Well, it does, and quite honestly, people that, have immigrated here legally, okay, we sit and talk to them. Like I was talking to a couple ladies at a function the other night, and one was from Cyprus, Greece, and she says, Dave, there's a reason people like us come to America, because what's happened in Greece and in other countries in Europe doesn't work. And we're really concerned about what we see happening in America. And the gal in my book, Marion the Mighty, she immigrated from Egypt, and she tells me the same thing all the time. She stays in contact with me. She says, Dave, I came here because of the freedom of America to build your own lifestyle and be self-reliant and self-dependent and all that. And she says, my concern is we're becoming just like Egypt is.
Dave, when you look around at what's happened in this country, Detroit's in a bankruptcy situation, and that's been democratically controlled for decades. And you look now at the unions, and I just heard a story this morning I wanted you to elaborate on, that the teachers' unions are so desperate right now, they've lost over 230,000 members to the NEA. They'll do anything to get those dues monies back into the kiddies and try to refurbish their waning support. And also the United Auto Workers, unions in general, they don't seem to really care for the people. They don't really seem to care for the kids in education. It's just money, money, money. Am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right, and that's one of the big themes of my blogs when I write them. It really comes down to a basic level, and the level is it's all about dues money for the union bosses, because they need that money to continue their lifestyle and also for their political gains, by donating to mainly the Democratic Party and trying to get regulations and laws changed or passed to favor forced unionism. And that's what this is all about. They could care less about the membership, and that's in this week's blog. I talk about the UAW, and they show this clearly because the UAW is looking at and implementing increasing their membership dues by 25% because they're losing members on the other end. In other words, they just want the money.
So what happens, Dave? This administration seems to be very union-friendly, and Obama and his possible bailout of big cities like Detroit and other cities and possibly other states like Illinois and California. Wow. I mean, how high is up? These people are absolutely dependent upon the American public to bail them out, and the unions, are they going to get stronger, or is common sense going to prevail?
Well, you would hope common sense prevails, but the problem is that this administration, they depend on the unions to get people elected. And with the midterms coming up, the unions and this administration are desperate because they don't want to lose the Senate, number one, and they'd rather recapture the House so they can really impose their socialistic agenda on this country. And I think the fact that the UAW is increasing dues membership by 25%, and you have people like the SEIU out trying to organize, people at McDonald's and this fight for 15, which is just, blatant hypocrisy. and the fact that you see other things going on with the SEIU and other areas where they're trying to force unionize people. These people are desperate. They know they got to increase membership, and they got to raise a lot of dues money going into this campaign season next November. And I think we're starting to see the start of the attack.
Dave, you're an employer of many, many people. Your company is well respected, and what you do is well respected. In your terms, would you explain to my audience, and I've said it a lot of times, about the increasing of the minimum wage of going perhaps from $7.25 way up to $15, and what it would do to inflation? And these are entry-level jobs where people are trying to make a full-time living off of them. The inflation and the absolute destruction to our economic system. Explain in your words how devastating a $15 an hour burger flipping job would be.
Well, and just to back up a little bit, this is the same type of tactics the SEI used against us. They'd come into the cities we're doing business, and they said to the people, we're going to double your wages and all that. And they do this because they know there's a lot of naive people out there that don't understand economics. They don't understand how the free markets work. And, it just sounded good to these people. It's kind of like Obama with Obamacare. And, it's the same type of tactics. And what they don't understand, one of the ways we beat the SEIU is that you sit down with your employees and you explain to them that here's the real facts of this. They're not telling you, okay, if we double everybody's wages, we're going to have either half the people working or we're going to cut you all the part-time people. Sounds kind of like Obamacare, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And or we're going to have to raise our prices. And if we raise our prices, we're not going to be competitive. We're going to go out of business, and you're going to lose your jobs. It doesn't work. The free markets don't allow it to work. We as a company will always fight for you to get you as much pay as we can and benefits and all that. But this doesn't work, and ultimately it's going to hurt you and all the employees across the country.
Yeah. Dave, I want to ask you a question about unemployment or the unemployment numbers. I got to admit that I'm jaded and not in favor of Obama or any of his tactics or policies. I don't believe the unemployment numbers are down at 7%. I honestly can't buy into that. Now, I'm no expert on the figures or how they're constructed every month, but when you look at a 7% unemployment and you look around what's happening with the depreciation of full-time labor, people that have quit looking for jobs, I'm going to tell you that in my rough estimate, the unemployment numbers in this country have got to be well over 10%. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I think it's up there somewhere, Zeb. The thing is, it's interesting you bring it up. I was at a Michael Hicks, who is the head of the economics department at Ball State University. We hosted him. He rolled out his presentation for the economic picture for next year, and a big part of it was labor. And a couple interesting things about it. Number one, in his charts that he showed us, his graphs, is that the labor, the job market has recovered slower than any time in history from a recession or depression. This is the first time that it's never gotten back to pre-employment levels. We're still not there, which is a scary thing. And then he brought up the same thing you just talked about, is that we don't even know that these numbers are accurate. And this guy used to work in the federal government, and upon questioning, he mentioned, he says, the government doesn't really know if their system or their formulas are the right formulas. I don't think they're the right formulas. They don't really give us the real numbers, like just what you said. So, yes, I don't think it's there. Most economists don't believe it's there, but the administration is going to use it to their advantage.
I want to ask you a little bit, and thank you for all the different emails you send me, but I want to ask you about the atmosphere and the personality of our President and the First Lady over at the funeral service for Nelson Mandela. And I'll say up front that I think people are completely unaware as to what and who Mandela really was and what his political aspirations were and his ideology, but they were over there at a private service to basically have a memorial for this man, and the attitude and the personality that was displayed by Obama and his wife. We've got a caller waiting with a question, but I want you to answer that briefly, if you would. What were your thoughts about the way he conducted himself?
Well, if you're talking about the pictures.
Oh, I am.
It looked like he was at a party, and he was more self-absorbed in himself than he is in paying tribute to Mandela. And Mandela, he did some great things for his people, and that, he did have a communist bent to him. But, Obama's sitting there laughing, taking pictures of himself, and, this is a service where you're trying to pay tribute. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, caller, with your question, go ahead, please.
Yeah, when they raise the minimum wage, doesn't that deplete the dollar? It depletes your savings that you worked all your life with, and then in the savings accounts, and it hurts the economy all around. And isn't that what Obama wants to do?
That's a good question, Dave. If you'd respond, please. Thank you, caller. I appreciate that.
Well, I've been a firm believer for quite a while that this president, Zeb, and we've talked about this before, he wants to bring down our economy, our capitalistic form of government, and the free markets, and he wants to turn us into a socialistic country. And I've started writing a blog on this, and I'll get to it someday and finish it because it's complicated. But it's all about control. And they want to control the American people. And the easiest way to control the American people is to have a socialist economy where you have nationalized health care, everybody gets the same thing. You have everybody basically the same as a middle class. They get the same income and all that. And so you don't have any bickering. Nobody's jealous of each other and all that. And they can remain in power for as long as they want to remain in power. And the American people say, well, this is crazy. This isn't going to happen. Well, the people in Germany didn't think it was going to happen either. And we're a much bigger country, and we have states, state governments and all that, so it makes it tougher. But at the end of the day, when you look at all the executive orders this guy's doing behind the scenes and what he's trying to do with health care and other things, I think it's a scary proposition.
I want to talk to you a little bit about Obamacare as we wrap up the segment this morning, Dave. It's one of the worst crafted messes that's ever been thrust upon America. They still don't even have the payment mode on the Internet website. And we've seen so many people suffer heartache and the loss of their insurance coverage, whether they're cancer patients or whether they're on kidney dialysis, etc. I think this thing has just absolutely hurt so many people that right now our healthcare system is in the abyss. It's fallen to the depths of the Grand Canyon. Can we ever get this thing restored?
Well, I agree with you, but I think this is on intentional. I believe that they want it to fail. They wanted it to fail from the beginning because that way they can institute nationalized health care. They can take it over, get rid of the insurance companies. And again, Zeb, it comes back to control. And can we get out of it? The only way we can get out of it, and I've advocated this to a lot of our representatives in the House and in the Senate, is that they need to go after this guy and impeach him and keep him on the defensive all the time so he can't continue to push his agenda through, like the minimum wage. And of course, he's talking about, you hear him talking about inequality all the time, and he wants immigration reform and all this. And we got to stop him in his tracks, and then we have to win the elections in November.
All right, now right there, a short answer to this, Dave. How? There still seems to be so much fragmentation in the Republican Party versus the Tea Party, and the Tea Party versus the Republicans, etc. How are we going to do this unless there's more unification?
Well, that's the key, and people got to get out, and I advocate this all the time when I do speeches, when I talk on radio. The listeners out there, the people I speak to, you need to get with your representatives, and you got to sit down with them and say, look, we're tired of this divisiveness. We're all conservatives, whether we're Tea Party or whether you're Republican Party. We're all conservatives. We need to save this country. We're not going to agree on everything, but we agree on the majority of it. Let's get together and let's get rid of this menace to the United States of America.
Amen. Dear friend, the President and CEO of Executive Management Services back in Indianapolis, Indiana, Dave Bego, God bless you, and to you and your entire family, Merry Christmas wishes, and I'll be in touch with you and talk to you before the Christmas break, I promise. Have a great day.
Well, thank you. You have a great day out there, and stay warm.
I will, Dave. Thank you. Go Packers. Thank you. See you later. Dave Bego, one of my dearest friends. Really enjoy having him on the radio. And we converse back and forth during the course of the week. Just a really nice man. Don't forget, there's going to be a great big Santa Claus party over at Four Paws Bed and Bath. That's right, you can take your dogs and kitty cats over there and have their pictures taken with Santa Claus. Oh, yes, and refreshments for both the pets and the parents. And, of course, discounts and drawings and free gift wrapping and gift cards available. Oh, my goodness, this is a fun deal. Kathy and the rest of the crew over there, they really know how to treat your animals. And, by the way, if you're leaving town, there is no better place for boarding than Four Paws Bed and Bath. 370 West, 200 south of Rupert. Call them, 438-4444. There you go. Merry Christmas wishes. Well, how do you like that for timing? They came up next. Four Paws Bed and Bath. Yes, sirree, Bob. I'm prepared. Four Paws Bed and Bath at 370 West, 200 south of Rupert. Don't forget, if you're going to be leaving your dogs and kitty cats for the holidays, leave them there. The best in grooming and boarding from Four Paws Bed and Bath in Rupert. 438-4444. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. Along with Jeff and his staff, proud to be a part of the agricultural community in southern Idaho at Magic Valley Irrigation at 44 East, 500 south of Burley, 678-3101. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas, as are the good folks at Burley Glass with old Gentle Ben, my buddy, at 1029 Overland in Burley, 678-1459. For all of your very energy-efficient window needs, it's Burley Glass. Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Okay, let's look here on the list. I want to remind you a couple of things. That tomorrow we're going to be over at Valley-Wide Home and Ranch for the Cowboy Christmas Remote, and that's going to be from 8 to 11. Don't forget, you got to get in there tomorrow only in the morning, and register for the men's and women's clothing they're going to give away. Oh, my goodness. And we're going to be giving the first hour from 8 to 9 free cinnamon rolls away from Sophie's. Oh, they're good. And 10% off everything in the store, excluding fuel. And listen to this, clothing and boots. Buy two and get one free of equal or lesser value. And Ken Moore's going to be singing Christmas carols. What more could you ask for? Come on by. It's going to be ripping good fun at the Valley-Wide Home and Ranch Cowboy Christmas tomorrow at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. We are really looking forward to seeing you there. We, at this time, are going to send it back over to our main studios, and we'll be back in just a few moments with more Zeb at the Ranch.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, you had a little bit of a minor scrape, did you? You were hanging the tree lights and you fell off the corner of the ladder, off the roof, and got all dinged up. Well, don't worry. Riverview is there. Well, your wife was holding the tree, but the phone rang and she let it go and it fell on your old noggin and you got a pretty good bump. Well, don't worry about it. Riverview is there. That's right, Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center at 382 North Overland in Burley. They're there for all the minor emergencies with major care. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. Don't forget quality care, save money. They're open Monday through Saturdays 9 to 9, Sundays 1 to 7. No appointments necessary. Get an old knock on the head from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Well, you stop into Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. The number to remember is 678-6996. Well, we're going to change pace here a little bit. Normally from political stories and all the other things going on in the world, we're going to change the pace a little bit and talk about wine. Idaho wine. And with me on the telephone, Jamie Martin from Cold Spring Winery. How are you, Jamie?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing great.
Well, now, I know absolutely nothing about wine. I know nothing about how to be is it the proper terminology, a vintner? Is that how you say it?
Vintners, the study of winemaking is called enology, and then the scientific name for growing grapes is called viticulture.
Okay. Now, Jamie, let's back up to go here on our Monopoly board and tell us a little bit about you, tell us a little bit about your winery, and tell us how you got started in this industry.
Well, I'm third generation farming here in Idaho. I'm born in Jerome, grew up over in the Burley Oakley area where my dad and grandpa farmed, and we farmed potatoes over in that area until college, and then off to the military. And when I was overseas, I started tasting some pretty incredible wines other than Boone's Farm and Annie Green Springs that you could get here in Idaho. And it's been my goal to change that the last 34 years of making wine here in Idaho.
You know, you've done very well. Now, I got to tell everybody, I had a chance to visit with Jamie a little bit the other day at a function at our real estate office at Canyonside Irwin in Twin Falls. I did not know that Idaho was really kind of, it's been an has-been state for a long time as far as making wine. And I don't mean has been forever forgotten, but it started way back in the 1860s. And then there was a little bit of depletion during the early years of the 1919s through the 30s. And now it's coming back. It's kind of a new frontier. What makes Idaho so great to grow wine and the grapes?
Zeb, our climate here, along the Snake River, it's volcanic soil. Grapes still like to have their feet wet.
I see.
So you need drainage. And just the heat we get, and then the cool nights, that helps, like a lot of crops in Idaho, but really helps with the sugars. And I chose the Hagerman Valley here, planted grapes in 1979, and just one of the reasons was Hagerman is known as the watermelon cantaloupe capital of Idaho, and they require those heat units to ripen and create the sugars just like the grapes do.
Okay, now tell me a little bit about the grapes. Now, again, I'm very naive about this. What are the different types of grapes?
They're planted by cuttings. You can plant a grape seed, it'll grow a plant, but it won't produce. You have to take a cutting of a hardened vine. And vines, you plant that stick in the ground, and 3 years of training it up, and about the fourth year, you're going to start getting some fruit. And then it just gets better and better. The quality, the character of the oldness of the vine will absorb that character from the soil, and they'll last, 20, 30 years.
Jamie, now again, I'm very naive. How do you know when to pick the grapes and start the process for the wine?
Well, I go out and pick them and eat them, taste them, along with to get that flavor where I like it. But then I'm also checking the pHs, the sugar bricks. That's the amount of sugar that's natural sugar in the grape, pHs, and that all kind of will affect your fermentation when you're making the wine. But I pretty much, when I go at harvest, as the grapes are coming in, when I taste them, I kind of know right then which direction I'm going to go, whether it'll be, if it's reds, it'll be a rosé or a longer aged red wine to age for a long time, depending on if it's high acids and a lot of fruit character, then that wine's going to age for 15, maybe 20 years.
Oh, my.
I have some white Riesling, so that are 10 years old and still drinking very nicely.
Oh, my goodness. Now, you didn't just pick up a book one day and decide to become a vintner or in this industry. You must have had extensive education. Tell us about that.
Well, there was nobody in Idaho to really turn to. And once I planted these grapes, the farming part came natural. I like doing that, and all of a sudden, what am I going to do with them? I did a lot of breeding, but then I went to UC Davis in California and studied some enology classes, and then working with some great mentors around the Northwest. David Forsythe from Hoag Cellars, great buddy of mine. I learned a lot from him, and just, you know, the wine is going to be no better than the quality of that grape you grow, and it'll make itself. You can make great wine out of good grapes, but you can't make good wine out of bad grapes.
Jamie, I guess from the process of picking the grapes all the way to the finished product, the wine itself, take us through the process as to what has to happen.
We'll start picking the end of September, and the whites go into a destemmer crusher. You crush them. They go into a press, a bladder press. You press the juice off, goes into a stainless steel tank, and because you don't want any skins, you don't need any skin or skin contact. That goes into a stainless steel tank. You add your yeast, your nutrients, you ferment that, and you can have a white wine ready in a couple months. Once to get all the filtering, stabilization, and in the bottle, if you push it, you can do it in a couple months. A red wine, a little longer process. You crush the grapes and goes into a red fermenter, but you leave the skins on. And you add your yeast to that must, and that yeast starts eating the natural sugars and converting the sugars to alcohol, and it's the alcohol that extracts the color for a deep red wine. It extracts it out of the grape skins.
Oh, my.
So that takes about 2 to 3 weeks of punching down. You've seen the movies I Love Lucy, and they're stomping on the grapes. That's basically you're punching down all of the grape skins that float to the top. The CO2, the byproduct of fermentation, will push all that cap to the top, so you've got to keep 2 or 3 times a day punching that back down and mixing it up so you don't get any mold or anything if it sets too long on top. And so you're always punching that down. And then after 3 weeks, when it's completely done fermenting, it is red wine. You put that into the bladder press. You press off that red wine, goes into barrels, and about 8 months aging in American or French oak barrels, so you bottle it.
Oh, my goodness. Now, I got to ask you a real straightforward question here. Have you, during your course of being in the winemaking industry, ever had an oops to where you literally had to get rid of or dump the wine that you were processing?
When I was first starting on smaller batches, trying to keep the air out of them, it's easier, you know, your home winemaking kits, beer kits, and those little 5-gallon carboys. It's really difficult to keep the integrity of the wine good without oxygen getting in there. And oxygen is the worst enemy of wines, because that'll give you vinegar. But a few small batches. Had a couple tanks explode as you don't pump fermenting wine into the bottom because of all the CO2. You always pump it to the top. But if you put it into a valve on the bottom, I've had it bubble up over the top and make a mess, but nothing too drastic.
Jamie, is it a business or an industry that you really have to be an overseer? You can't really delegate authority to somebody else, that you personally have to watch this thing from the grape to the finished product? I mean, it's something you just can't ignore?
I have this kind of code. Once I start harvest crushing, I pretty much sleep with the grapes till Christmas. And about now, everything is settling down, and you can walk away from it and let it just start doing its aging. But it's very critical in those first 2 months while they're fermenting. You're smelling, tasting twice a day, which, you know, is a tough job, but you got to do that. And if anything smells off, then you'll rack it to another tank. But if you're on top of them, you don't let anything bad smells or fermentation start happening, then you're going to be fine. If you let it go, you don't pay attention, and you start getting some off flavors and stuff going wrong in the fermentation and the flavor of the wine, then there's other ways to clear it up, but I refuse to put anything in the wine that I can't pronounce.
All right. Now, let me ask you this. From the day that you have a finished product and it goes into these big wine barrels or casks or whatever you call them, does the wine actually, with aging, change its taste substantially so that maybe it ends up what you didn't want it to be?
It could, but if you've got a good quality grape with good acid, it'll just keep getting better and better to a point. There's a point you peak on the wine, it'll start going down the other way and start, just getting a little tired. It'll lose its color and flavor, mostly on red wines. White wines you want to drink. Most of the time winemakers make their white wines to be drunk, in the first 2 to 3 years.
Tell us a little bit about your company.
They don't age as gracefully as red wine.
I see. Tell us a little bit about your company, the name, and some of the great awards that you've won.
Yes, it's I had Rose Creek Winery here in Hagerman for 19 years, and then I got a call one day from Bill and Bing Ringard over in Hammett, and he wanted to have some help building a winery, and so I helped him kind of lay that out. Next thing you know, he said, I don't know that much about making wine, and that was 11 years ago. I've been consulting making Cold Springs wines for them, and we're growing. Got a capacity probably to do 10, 12,000 cases. With the facility, we're at about 5,000 now.
Okay, and what about some of the awards that you've won in your career?
Oh, gosh. I won back in the early 80s. I won a gold medal and Snowbird wine competition against Gurgitch Hills, a California winery, very well known. And then won a gold medal in Seattle. That went on to a distributor, broker, picked up my wines, moved it to London, England, and Sweden, and I won a gold medal for the Cabernet Sauvignon at Sotheby's World Wine Auction, and the Chardonnay, and the Queen of England bought everything I had, which I was small then, just a couple hundred cases of each, but she pretty much took everything we had. So that was fun. And then recently, about 2 months ago, we have our annual Idaho wine competition. There's now 45 wineries in Idaho, up and down the Snake River, which we now have a federal 80th appellation, which is called the Snake River Valley. And that has put us on the map to the world, meaning we have an appellation that is designated to quality grape growing. And out of the 45 wineries, there were 100 wines entered. They were pretty stingy on gold, only 12 gold medals. And Cold Springs, we won 3 gold.
Oh, my goodness.
2011 Chardonnay, a white table wine, La Traction, which is a blend of Chardonnay and Riesling, and the 2009 Merlot. And that Merlot also took Best of Show out of all the red wines entered.
Oh, my. Jamie, we have
Never won that many altogether, but that was fun. I let the wineries over there in Napa, Caldwell areas that never want to acknowledge us down here in the Hagerman Valley and this part of Idaho that they can't ignore us anymore.
Absolutely. We're almost out of time, but I've got a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller, quickly, please.
Yeah, I have a friend that raises grapes or for wine, and he just raises one kind of grape. And I've often wondered, do the wine people, do they raise grapes as a produce on the side also?
That's a good question. Jamie, would you answer that, please?
As produce for eating?
I believe so, yes.
There are grapes. The grapes we use for winemaking are Vitis spinifera, and they are the Chardonnay Rieslings. They're European style. And then there's quite a few, there are growers growing table grapes, the Black Monaca, Seedless Flame, Concord, and those are Labrusca varieties that have the slip skin. When you bite it, the whole pulp shoots out. But you can make wine out of those, but mostly there are grapes, other varieties being raised, and that's growing more and more for produce and for eating.
Jamie, I'm going to wrap it up by saying I had a chance to sample some of your wines this last week. It's excellent, and I guess the sky is the limit as far as how big you can make Cold Spring Winery. And what about the future? What are your plans and your goals?
Well, we're just going to keep growing, maybe little by little, as some vineyards are on. There's more and more small vineyards starting up, so I think grapes will always be available to expand. But we're just slowly building our markets, Idaho, now into the Seattle area, and but we just want to make sure we take care of home first.
All right. Well, Jamie Martin, God bless and Merry Christmas to you, and the best with the business with Cold Spring Winery, and thanks for being on our program this morning.
Well, thank you, Zeb, and happy holidays to everybody and out there in your listening area.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Very interesting gentleman, Jamie Martin, and I had a chance to visit with him last week at a gathering, and boy, I did not know anything about wine. I didn't know anything about growing the grapes and everything else. What a process, and you really have to babysit that crop. Really interesting. Thank you. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, 2 locations, one at Twin Falls at 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Burley location, brand spanking new at 159 West Highway 30. Great place to go. And they're doing some house cleaning, and they're selling some of their equipment off. And they, right now for this week, have a special. Now, listen up. This is a dandy special. A 2012 Bobcat skid steer. Has 1,000 hours on it. It's an S185, open cab, most effective cost they can get for this machine. Absolutely, this is a money saver at just $25,400. You better get on this 2012 Bobcat skid steer right now. Call them, boys, at Eli at 732-7368, or call Nick at 678-7368. And also, they've got rental equipment to help get all those Christmas decorations up. Good, folks. Great place to go. Barry Equipment and Rental in Twin Falls on Addison at 465 Addison Avenue West, and in Burley, easy to get in and out at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Absolutely. Oh, my goodness, we got to have a weather update real fast. Here's Michael Rogers Weather.
Everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Let me help you out a little bit. Take some good news to you. The forecast, we're still going to be cold, okay? And we're going to slowly start to warm up, and that trend's going to take us through the weekend. The real good news is that on the first day of winter, which is December 23rd, we start to gain daylight. Now, that's a positive, so just keep thinking flow of the positive. Other than that, put a sweater on. It's going to be chilly. You're going to warm up into the 30s today. You should see 40 by Saturday. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. Similar weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. And, oh, by the way, don't forget the UPS store. They're located at 322 East Main Street in Burley, and they can print all your holiday greetings. That's right. They offer a wide range of printed seasonal products like customized greeting cards. They do a great job, let me tell you. Invitations, calendars, newsletters, presentations, and much more. Hey, to grow your business, you need to promote your business, and you can count on the UPS store. Where are they located? 322 East Main Street in Burley. Nice, folks. Don't forget, call them, 678-0127. The UPS store, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas with all the little elves that work over there, too. Oh, my goodness. Gina, what a busy day. And did you learn anything about winemaking?
Yeah, actually, I did. Actually, I'm sure my brother, who is listening, learned a ton about winemaking because he wants to make some wine at home.
My mother and dad used to make wine back in Wisconsin. And honestly, one of the wines that my dad loved to make was both grape wine and, believe it or not, dandelion wine.
Really? Really?
Yeah, dandelion wine. And I got to tell you a funny story. That it wasn't funny at the time because my sister and I were both afraid that my mom and dad were going to get a divorce over this. But they had rigged up on the back sun deck the elevated, the deal that holds the grapes and everything, so you get the drippage through the cheesecloth and everything to go down, and the wine coming through there, etc. They had rigged up and jerry-rigged this whole thing on the back porch. And you had to be really careful and walk around it. It took up about 10 or 12 feet on the back porch.
Right.
And here's all this heavy stuff with all the grapes in it and everything else. Well, my mother came home one time in the afternoon, and she had her arms full of packages, and she was going to go in the back door of the porch, and she hit the trip cord that was holding up that great big deal with all those red grape wines in it. And all of a sudden, we were in the house, my sister and I were in the house already, and we heard this splash, just like that, and we walked out, and honestly, there was about 3 inches of grape juice, and all the stain on the furniture, and the carpeting, and everything completely underneath grape juice.
And your mother, of course, none too happy.
Well, I honestly thought at one time, because of the way my dad come home, and my dad was really fussy about everything around the house, and when he saw that on the back porch, the first inclination was to kill the kids.
Well, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be the son or the daughter, for heaven's sakes. And you could just see the German fire in his eyes, and I'm standing back, boy, I hope somebody comes up with the truth real soon here. And finally my mother says, Jerry, I did it, not the kids. And it just deflated him, because you could just see that he wanted to really whoop into us. And it was my mother.
And he couldn't and so he's like...
Oh, well, let's get it cleaned up. And my sister and I are nudging each other going, hey, we got onto this dude.
So back in the day, living in Elk River, my mom would make either huckleberry wine or elderberry wine.
Oh, I like that.
And one time we had gone out, and my brother's going to kill me for telling this story, but I don't care. One time we went out and we did some elderberry picking, as well as, gathering wood and everything. And my brother, of course, being the starving Marvin that I am all the time, he thought he was going to starve to death. So he ate a whole bunch of elderberries.
Uh-oh.
There was a stain from his top floor window all the way down the house to the ground. Yeah,
Are you trying to tell me that perhaps he had a little bit of indigestion?
Or something. And so after that, he never enjoyed elderberries or said elderberry wine.
But didn't you love it when you were a kid and you made messes and you got spanked and you got told, don't you ever be that careless again? And you can sit back and the whole back porch was ruined and stained, and the furniture and everything else, and you know that you had nothing to do with it, and you just kind of gloat, like, hey, Dad, I had nothing to do with it.
And, you're thinking to yourself, yes. But then in the back of your mind, you're like, how come Mom didn't get it?
But I did notice, though, that for about a week, there was very icy conversations between my mother and father. Like she would say, would you like butter, dear? And he'd go, no, thank you, Arlene.
Some bitterness over the droppage of the grapes.
Yes, there was.
Ooh.
Hey, by the way, don't forget to stop in to your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Falls, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family over in Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. They've got all your winter traction tires for your cars, pickups, SUVs, and they, of course, have got the tires that are pinned with studs, and they've got all the batteries. Go in and have your battery checked, and if it doesn't go very high on the old check-o-meter, you better get a new one because, man, you don't want to be left out in the cold. They've got all your chains and your snow wheels, the very best in brake service. Can't find anybody better with brake service. They're tops. All of this and much, much more at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Like we have been telling you, We're going to be over at Valley White Home and Ranch tomorrow morning for the entire program for their Cowboy Christmas remote. We invite you to come on by. It is going to be ripping good fun. They're going to have in-store specials. We're going to have all kinds of fun things going on through the course of the broadcast. Please come over and say hello. Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert will be over there for the entirety of the program tomorrow. Okay? And a quick reminder, next Thursday the 19th, the 19th, don't forget the great big Zeb at the Ranch, Cowboy Singing Corral. We'll meet out in front of Ramsey Heating and Electric. Our thanks to Let's Ride, Ramsey's, Travel Loop Supply, and Smith's Food King. And we're going to sing next Thursday night, the 19th. Those are things to put down on your calendar. I got to get out of here. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06, live and direct from Valley White Home and Ranch. Zeb at the Ranch, the way things were, the way things ought to be.